Coming soon to a theater near you.
We're back. Episode 14 of the Real Ones podcast with me, your man, Mr. Marin, and my man, 150 grand, RB. RB, what's going on, my brother?
Nothing much, man. I know it's been a minute since we recorded. I saw a few movies. The Creator.
Yeah.
Which I thought was dope.
Yeah, I heard there's people that had issues with it. You know, nothing is perfect. Well, some movies are perfect, but yeah, I heard some people had issues with it. I didn't get around to seeing it just yet. I was only able to see. We got to check out Saw 10.
Yeah.
Now we could probably the next episode we could really go in on that one.
Right.
But so I got to see Saw 10 and The Exorcist Believer, and you would be surprised which one was the most unnecessary of the two.
Really?
You know
not
what I'm
the
saying?
10th installment?
Yeah, not the 10th. It was definitely not the 10th installment, surprisingly. Yeah, The Exorcist Believer, man. I don't know. We could talk about more in the next episode, because in the next episode we will be discussing black horror.
Yeah,
we will be discussing black horror. The writer's strike is over.
Yeah.
The writer's strike is over. Thank God for that. So, you know, that's half the battle fought right there. You know what I'm saying? Writers is getting back in the writing room. And, now that the writer's strike is over, we're now starting to see and hear about films being developed.
Yeah.
And one very interesting film hit the radar this week, and is backed by Steven Spielberg. But what makes this film very interesting is who is going to be the director at the helm. It is not Steven Spielberg, but instead Chris Rock will be directing a Martin Luther King biopic, which is very interesting development. I did not see that one coming. Chris Rock as a director, he's okay.
Yeah.
I
like Top 5.
Top 5 was cool. I don't know how to describe his directing style. It's very, I don't know. It's not as smooth as I wish it could be. I mean, it's good. I Think I Love My Wife was cool.
Yeah. I like that movie.
Yeah, I Think I Love My Wife was cool.
I didn't like that Bad Hair Joint.
The documentary.
Yeah.
What were your issues with that one?
I just feel like it just perpetuates a lot of negative stereotypes about black hair and like how, some Eurocentric beauty standards are better than others. And the film kind of, it like tries to explore that, but I feel like by the end it kind of just ends up perpetuating it. But it's like Chris Rock laughing at like black women.
I was gonna say that it's very much like it's his stand up. It's just like it's him cutting the ass on it, and I just think I don't know. I don't take everything seriously. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of was like, all right, I get it, but I do see what you're saying because it kind of not promotes, but it kind of gives life to the more extreme sides of that. You know what I'm saying? With the hair shows. It was almost like we gotta laugh at that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He said he made it for his daughters and
I mean, I respect it. I just didn't just watching it, I'm like, oh, seems like a cool documentary concept, and then like and while watching it, I'm like, okay, like it doesn't really land on something like it's not like it's neither like pro natural hair or it's neither like pro like sterilized hair. It's just like about hair.
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
That's my only problem.
I get that. I get that. But yeah, the Martin Luther King biopic, man, there's many ways this can go. I will say, I am looking forward to the scene where Martin Luther King creates a fight with Coretta so he could go out and do orgies and shit. I would love to see Chris Rock handle that one. I don't know if y'all see I Think I Love My Wife. That's a classic scene of him arguing about the piece of a chicken or something like that so he could go out and hang out with Kerry Washington. I would like to see that brought to Martin Luther King's household. Is this real? Because you hear about some developments and it's like you hear about it and then it just goes away with time.
Right.
Do you think this one has traction?
I mean, I feel like it has traction because of the Steven Spielberg name.
Yeah. By the way, he's owned the rights to Martin Luther King's speeches and stuff for a long time.
Right, which is why Ava DuVernay had to like write her own version of the speeches in Selma. So, this is kind of like maybe the official biopic, quote unquote. We joked about it like in group chats and on Twitter, like the fact that they gave Will Smith the Slave movie and they gave Chris Rock the Martin Luther King movie is like, all right, like,
open up your third eye, my people, right? My people. the man had to slap and emasculate the black man in order for him to get the Martin Luther King biopic. Think about it. Think about it, my brothers and sisters. Think about it. That's Umar. That I would love to see Umar's take on this.
Dr. Umar. Oh, for sure.
I would love to see Umar's take on this.
I'm Chris Rock. Now I will say, like, we've seen comedy directors do golden stuff. Obviously, Jordan Peele, things like that. But it's just like, again, this Martin Luther King. To me, it's like we already have we only have one Martin Luther King movie. So let me just start by saying that we only had Selma. So like
theatrical film.
Theatrical film. And there was the ones on HBO with Anthony Mackie and Bryan Cranston, which was kind of funny, goofy. But it was cool. But like,
Jeffrey Wright, don't forget Jeffrey Wright did Martin Luther King. He played Martin Luther King in Boycott, I think it was called.
Oh, really?
It's an HBO film. Carmen Ejogo played Coretta.
Oh, okay. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. So there's been a couple ones, but in terms of theatrical ones, I do want to see more theatrical Martin Luther King movies. Yeah. I just want them to be good.
Yeah.
Like,
no, absolutely.
I think I personally feel like audiences are kind of over the black trauma movies anyway. Like we saw Till come out last year, kind of came and went. We saw Harriet Tubman came out, which was a great film, but that came and went. Yeah. So it's like these, sometimes people aren't really into the historical stuff anymore. If you're gonna do it really, really well. It also depends on who they cast too. If they cast like some comedian playing Martin Luther King.
What if Chris Rock says, "Hey, I'm gonna do a duel. I'm gonna be director and lead."
Oh no!
Please,
I
don't need to be seeing Martin Luther King speeches with Chris Rock hands like this. I had a dream. I'm not trying to see all that shit. But this is. I mean. Let's see, man. Let's see what comes of it. Steven Spielberg not taking the director's chair is interesting.
Yeah, I kind of listen. Do
you think? And this might tie in with today's episode. Do you think that the backlash he received for doing Color Purple, and what he's seen his peers like Norman Jewison get pushed off of Malcolm X, you think that plays into him like, okay, I own the rights, but I am not touching it.
Right. Well, it's funny because when The Color Purple came out, it didn't get that much backlash. Like, at the time, like it was kind of seen as like, yo, we got the biggest A-list director adapting like this primetime material, like black material.
The subject of today's pod had a problem with it.
Yes. And I think that's exactly. And I think that's why. That's why a lot of black people look back at Color Purple and look at it like, oh, it is like the Disney-fied version of this story. It is like this. And I do agree with that. But I do think Spielberg, I would watch a Martin Luther King Spielberg movie.
100%.
I think, to me, like, I would watch a Steven Spielberg Martin Luther King movie before a Chris Rock Martin Luther King movie any day for me. Yeah. Because I feel like, whatever material Spielberg touches, and maybe I'm just like too pro Spielberg or whatever, but I love the new West Side Story.
I love that movie.
I
love that movie.
It's just like I even love that one. I love Bridge of Spies, and I also love The Post. Like it's more like quiet political movie. So even in this late day and age, like I could still see Spielberg like rocking a good MLK movie. It won't be from the most genuine like place because he's not having that experience. But on a filmmaking level, it will be cool. But then again, it's like I don't really know what Chris Rock's perspective is going to be on it either. You know what I mean? So it's like he because it's a phrase my grandparents always say. Not all skin folk are your kinfolk. You know what I mean?
Damn,
so like
you saying that about Chris Rock?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. He does make a lot of like crazy jokes in my opinion.
I like Chris Rock. There's some things like the Louis C.K. clip.
Yeah, him saying the N-word right in front of him.
That's like, a little.
He's the blackest white guy I fucking know. And in all the negative things we think about black people, this fucker.
You're saying I'm a nigger.
Yes, you are the niggerest fucking white man I have ever.
Amazing.
I don't think he could do that.
But I love Chris Rock, man. I think his, Bring the Pain has some of the most biting commentary that's still relevant today about, black folks, the whole, the niggas versus black people thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that.
It's like a civil war going on with black people. And there's two sides. It's black people and there's niggas. And niggas have got to go. Every time black people want to have a good time, ignorant ass it up.
I love that whole bit because it's so honest. It's so raw and honest about, how we view each other as black folks sometimes.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to be real.
That's real.
I look across the street and see a certain quality of black folks. It's like, hey, they ain't one of us. I'm kind of joking.
Nah,
but,
kind of.
But, I do applaud him for trying something new.
Yeah.
He tried to do the whole Jigsaw thing.
Yeah,
What's it called? Spiral.
So did he direct that film or did he just write it?
No, he basically pitched the story.
Okay.
So, but then if you see the film, there's certain scenes in the film where, like, it turns into Chris Rock bits.
Right.
He's driving around, about to go to the murder scene. He's like, women... women are never happy. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it just turns to a Chris Rock bit out of nowhere. So he was very influential with that, clearly. But I give him props for wanting to spread his wings and do a little bit more. I'm not mad at that. He was in Fargo on FX.
I love that season. By the way,
doing a little bit more dramatic stuff. So I appreciate it and I applaud that. Another bit of news, in the last episode, we talked about how he was going to go see Beyonce.
Right.
And now everybody can see Beyonce because she is also going to be in theaters with Renaissance. This is it's not the narrative film, but it is a
concert movie.
I think
I heard it's like a mixture of both, like
sort of like the Netflix joint.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. The Coachella one. Yeah. So it's gonna probably be, at least from what I heard, it's gonna be like the biggest parts of like the Renaissance show, like when Kendrick came out during the LA one, Megan Thee Stallion, whatever.
Yeah.
And then probably mixed with some of these like weird visuals that like they had shot. Apparently they shot music videos for her album way back in 2022. Just never released them. So.
Well, whatever it is, I will be there. I spent my $30.
Oh yeah.
No AMC. The AMC was like, nope, you got to spend this money.
Right.
Spent my $30. I will be there on opening weekend to go see that. And I'm seeing the little shady comments, the Swifties.
Right.
Oh, Taylor Swift breeds. Beyonce gets to know. First of all, she been doing this. All right, let's get this out the way. She's been doing this.
I ain't never seen Taylor Swift put no concert movie out.
Right.
I really haven't.
This is her first time.
Right.
B been doing this. B always embraces the visual side of things. So this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen in some capacity. You know what I'm saying? But Negroes, please go and support this.
Oh yeah.
Please go and support this shit. I don't want to hear, I'm going to wait for it to come on Netflix. No, take your ass to the theaters. Let me tell you something, man. If you could stream or pay for Netflix or whatever, you can go see Beyonce. Please go do that. Support it. Taylor Swift made her shit pre-sales was 150 million.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's support.
do that for Beyonce.
Let's support our sister, man. Let's support our sister. I'm tired of this whole Taylor Swift thing anyway, man. I'm watching football. Yeah. She on there every 2 minutes. Like, that whole relationship is PR. That whole relationship is PR. Yes. I'm sorry. First of all, let's talk about Kelsey. My man's be bagging sisters. He got flavor. You see the sisters he bagged, I'm supposed to believe he bagged this whole okie doke bag of bones, like
shake it off, like
shake what? Yeah. What you shaking? You ain't got no ass. Damn, let's go digging, right? Whatever. Hey, hey, listen, Taylor Swift is okie doke, okay? Straight up, straight down, no backside. Blonde hair, blue eyed, vanilla, just plain Jane. Like, this is nothing about Taylor Swift that's dope. I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm not hating on the sister. I'm just saying, like, I don't believe this relationship. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some setup. I mean, I heard they're trying to position her to like perform at the Super Bowl one of these years.
Yeah, I seen the NFL put her on their Avi on Twitter and something with the Swifties. Like, all right, this is just great marketing by her dad. Once again, you know what I'm saying? I don't believe none of this stuff.
And they running. I think they running free promotions for her movie on the NFL game.
See what I'm saying, man? Come on,
she's getting that wide audience. Now, what I'll say about Beyonce though, I'm super down to see. Like for one, people killing Beyonce for the $28 tickets. They also didn't have the A-list joint for the Taylor Swift one. You know what I mean?
They didn't?
No, they didn't. Okay. Nah, so people, like the white, I hate when our people complain about, like, we can't pay this. But, like, white people are already paying the same price for, like, Taylor Swift, which I get it. You know what I mean? Beyonce, she hoses down her fans. I ain't going to lie. Like, she will make you pay $300 for the tickets and not give you no screen in the stadium, so you're gonna pay to watch the movie instead. I understand.
I heard Beyonce was selling $175 tickets today. Hey, you can't see me, you can hear me.
Right?
It's like what?
Yeah, and she didn't even turn on the screens at the jumbo screens at the sofa. I'm like, dang, nobody in the nosebleeds. They looking. They
listen, I get it, man. I get it.
I get it, but I get it, and also like I promote. I'm all here for Black excellence because Beyonce, whenever she goes to a different city, she always buys from Black-owned businesses in terms of restaurants, housing, services. When she, performs, it's always a bevy of Black dancers, Black crew members, Black talent in front of the camera and behind the camera. So, yeah, I want to see that. I want to see this billionaire family continue to...
don't say that. They say, you support capitalism. Jay-Z is a capitalist. Get the fuck out of here, man. It's just Negroes being fickle, man. Negroes, they love you until they don't love you no more. Yeah. And that's the problem sometimes with Black audiences. Sorry to say, some of them just nitpick and look for reasons to just shit on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That being said, I got my ticket for they got that new Inglewood theater.
I heard about it on TikTok.
Yes, yeah, and that's the first dine-in IMAX that they've ever had in the world. So me and my girl, we got our tickets for the dine-in IMAX in the Inglewood Cinema Plaza. I think Cinema Plaza or Cinema Plazas is what it's called. It's so
Cineopolis.
That's how you pronounce it. Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'll be there, man. I'll be there at AMC. I'll be at Universal.
Oh, Universal. Yeah. Oh, that's the big IMAX. Yeah.
They had a date for the Chinese theater, but it wouldn't work out with my schedule. It was like midweek. If it was like a Saturday, but couldn't swing that. But Beyonce, Renaissance is coming soon. I mean, hey, it ain't no actors. Go support that.
Right.
We ain't scabbing, all right? Go support. There ain't no actors. This is Beyonce. Go support that. That's coming with December 1st.
Yeah, December 1st.
December 1st.
And by the way, it looks like the actors might get a pretty good deal if they get something that's kind of similar to what the writers got. You know what I mean? In terms of the streaming residuals, protections against like AI and stuff, specifically the streaming residuals.
Let's bring it on home, y'all. Yeah. Come on, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. But this is a very special episode because we are talking about a real one's favorite. My favorite filmmaker is, would you say is your favorite filmmaker?
Oh yeah.
Shelton Jackson Lee, otherwise known as Spike Lee. Now, I can go on and on and on and on about him. This could be a multi-episode about his career. His career is so multi-layered. He's, his body of work spans like about almost 40 years. We could go on and on about him, but we want to hone in. Again, I could talk about the usuals. Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, all of that. I could talk about all those films.
Movies that we low-key touched on in our Greatest Black Movies episode
absolutely. He has a few spots on that Greatest Black Films list on our very first episode. But what we want to do is take a look at what we would describe as his most slept-on joints. And these are the films that are not the ones we mentioned. These are the films that came after him. In some cases, the films that came before him. An honorable mention I would like to talk about is his student film, Joe's Bed-Stuy Barbershop. We Cut Heads. Now, that's why I call it honorable, because it's not so much slept on as that nobody knows where to find it.
Yes.
But if you go to Real Talk Film Society YouTube page, my man will include the link. We have it there in its entirety. I saw this almost 10 years ago for Do the Right Thing's 25th anniversary. BAM, Brooklyn Academy of Music, had a week where they were showing Spike Lee joints. They were showing like double features. I went to go see a few double features, you know what I'm saying? And I think the opening night, it was Joe's Bed-Stuy. They had the original negatives. They screened it. And Joe's Bed-Stuy Barbershop, for those that don't know, is Spike Lee's NYU thesis film that he ended up winning the Student Academy Award for 40 years ago. And this film is about the owner of a barbershop. Well, the owner of a barbershop was running numbers with this, how would you call him? Not a gang member, but like the numbers runner. It's like a gangster.
Yeah, shady business. That's Loan Shark. There
you go. He was running numbers for him, and of course, the money wasn't looking right, so they pieced him out. If you know what I mean. And the barber that was working with him takes on the barbershop, opens it up, and then he kind of falls into the same thing, and that kind of plays out the way it does. You know,
Brilliant
again,
film.
Very good. Like it's so crazy. It's like I'm watching it, and it's like you can see the seeds being planted. You know what I'm saying? Early. First of all, one of my favorite things about Spike is the use of music in his films.
Yeah.
I think he is probably the best filmmaker. You know, he just has a good ear for the music and to match it up with the visuals. It's just perfect. Like the first scene where they're about to off the owner, they're playing body music. It's like a old school song, but it's like you getting a view of the skyline. You know, New York, Brooklyn, and it's just the way that pairs with it is beautiful. Funkin' for Jamaica. There's a scene where Zach is the name of the barber that picks up the barbershop, and his woman is a social worker. And there's a scene where she's going to the projects to follow up with a client. And like they in the hallways dancing to funkin' for Jamaica, and it's like Spike, you could tell he wants to make a musical so bad.
Right.
And in a lot of his films, the way he throws music in there is like, oh, this man really wants to make a musical. And there was just that little moment where everybody you see in the cats in the lobby just kind of pop locking and all this stuff. You really get a piece of the early '80s Black America, and then Funkin' for Jamaica is playing, and it's just fly. Like I just love moments like that in this film.
It's definitely a really like cool early display, and it's also good like. For a short film, it's on the longer side. You know what I mean?
It's like an hour.
Yeah. Which it's such a evolving story that keeps you like locked in from the beginning. I like all the. I should have looked up who like the exact actors were.
Well, the lead Zach is played by Monty Ross, who ends up producing the first few Spike joints. He's that was like his right man.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. I also saw that Ang Lee was one of the assistant directors. Famous.
Opening credit sequence is done by Futura 2000, who was an iconic graffiti artist. So you're seeing a lot of these pieces come together, and it's just like these are people that was regular neighborhood people for him. He didn't have no money to pay no renowned person to do these things. These are people that he just knew. Ang Lee, he went to school with. You know what I'm saying? Ernest Dickerson shot the film.
Yes.
His father, the late great Bill Lee, did the score for the film. There was just so much quality in this, and this is a testament to Spike's career. He can take a penny and make that shit look like $1 million.
Oh yeah.
He's good for that.
And we don't talk about that in his later films.
Oh yeah,
like Red Hook Summer. And The Sweet Blood of Jesus.
Oh yeah,
that definitely is there too. But
absolutely,
that is rooted in film school. That's rooted in just those getting that practice in. So I really enjoy it. I watched it. I really watched it for the first time fully when I posted it on the Real Talk YouTube channel. So it was really good watching. I'm not gonna say too much about it like plot wise because I want people to like check it out.
Definitely.
But, I feel like it's a really good exploration of, like you said, Black culture, especially in the early 80s. I feel like the plot for Barbershop, the Ice Cube one, I don't know if Tim Story saw this short and was like, oh, this seems kind of cool.
Right. But also, I want to shout out, and again, this is the seeds that Spike plants. There's a scene where Zach is talking to his little man. I forgot his little man's name. It's like he's like the sidekick of the film. This is this young boy he meets, and he tries to help out. And they're talking about sneakers, and the kid does a little rhyme for Converse, the ones that slip and slide, get the ones with the star on the side. And then after that, he's like, I like your shoes. Like, yeah, these is Nikes. This is the new joint. So it's like, yo, Spike was like really planting the seeds early. Like, yo, I fuck with Nike. I do this, do that, which we all know. Like years later, he ends up doing the campaign with Jordan, and that really turns Spike into a household name. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a beautiful. It's like it's like an origin story. It's like when you're watching that, and if you know the way Spike Lee's career goes forward, just watching that, it's like, wow, seeing that infancy. You know what I'm saying? It's like looking at a newborn baby. It's like, wow, like look at him, like, you know what I'm saying? Like this person's gonna grow up and do great shit, and you could tell that he just had it in him to do great shit.
Yeah, early on.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good movie. Right
right now, today is what, October 8th?
October 8th, yeah.
Today's October 8th.
It might be out a little later, but
of course, yeah. But as at the moment we're recording is October 8th. Yesterday was the opening of Spike Lee Creative Sources at the Brooklyn Museum, which was a career spanning, exhibit that shows, all the things that gets Spike's wheels turning creatively, and is displaying his memorabilia, so on and so forth. On the 6th, this past Friday, was the 23rd anniversary of Bamboozled, another film that is in this discussion of slept-on joints.
Oh yeah,
sure. I think recently it's been, Criterion, did a release, and everybody's kind of been writing stuff about it, talking about it's a masterpiece. But in October 2000, this was not the conversation that was being had. Right. I remember it vividly. I remember one time I was watching wrestling, and I seen the trailer or commercial rather for Bamboozled come up, and I wasn't really paying attention to it until I realized what it was, and I'm seeing black folks and red lips. I'm like, Spike Lee is making a movie about clowns? What the hell is this? Yeah. And then because it was Spike, I was like, yo, I got to go see this. So I remember I had stayed home from school sometime that October, and I went to Magic Johnson Theaters on 125th Street in Harlem. Went to go see Bamboozled, and that joint opened up my eyes crazy. I don't think I've ever looked at the media the same since.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's so... the commentary is so biting. It's also so prophetic. Black actors and blacker faces. Look at reality TV.
Yeah.
Look at that Zeus Network bullshit with Krishan Rock and Blueface and all this bullshit that's going on. Look at the housewives, the basketball wives, and all this shit. All of that is coonery and buffoonery. All of that shit.
All owned by white-owned corporations.
Let's talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all Viacom, and the sad part is that Zeus is actually owned by black people.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Which is even sad. I think King Box, that King Box guy,
really, he owns that,
has something to do with Zeus. Yes.
Yo, okay, that's why I knew I wasn't watching it.
So it's like Spike kind of touches on all of these things, and Bamboozled. Not to get ahead of ourselves, Bamboozled is about a writer, a television writer, who is trying to get out of his job. He's not really feeling the stuff that's going on with CNS, that's the fictional company that he works for. And he's like, yo, I'm going to create the most offensive, the most racist shit. So they got no choice but to ask me.
Right.
But
it ends up,
in a weird twist of fate, that shit is a success.
Yeah.
And so much so that he gets wrapped up into it, and a lot of shit happens after that. Love this film. Damon Wayans plays Pierre Delacroix.
Yeah.
He was it was always interesting, his accent. It was, the way he played it, Damon Wayans is just another great, character actor.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Which, it's funny because, like, it's almost a kind of biting commentary about a lot of his work a little bit, or a lot of the Wayans family's work in terms of, like, especially at this time. I mean, this came out in 2000, but a few years later, My Wife and Kids came out with not Damon Wayans, it was the other Wayans.
No, Damon Wayans was in
that yeah, exactly. But I feel like that's more of a wholesome family.
He did Marcy X after this.
Oh, really? Oh, so I've never seen that one. Actually,
with Lisa Kudrow, and he plays a rapper called Please pull up Marcy X. It's just. He plays this rapper, and it's like Lisa Kudrow's this white woman that becomes a rapper too. I don't know. It was literally. I remember when Marcy X came out. It was like, yo,
this 2.9 on IMDb.
Yeah, this is like the shit Bamboozled was talking about.
Right.
Which is it was so crazy to see him do this afterwards. And Spike wasn't the biggest fan of In Living Color because they made fun of him.
Oh, really?
Tommy Davidson has a skit in Living Color.
That's what I was thinking of, was In Living Color, like in terms of like the Wayans commentary.
Yeah. Like, Spike was not too happy about In Living Color making fun of him. So it's like it was interesting to see him pair up with Damon Wayans, but it's a great film, man.
Yeah.
Mos Def is really good in it. He plays Big Black Africa.
Yeah.
For the Mau Mau's. The Mau Mau's is Mos Def, Charlie Baltimore, MC Search, DJ Scratch, Gano Grills. It's Cannabis, former rapper, he's remembered for his little beef with LL Cool J on record.
Yeah.
Savion Glover, Tommy Davidson.
Tommy Davidson is.
There's a scene in this film when shit goes left with the show, and Tommy Davidson's character, he played Womack? Is this? Yes, he played Womack. He always had an issue with the show. He was just like, he was always kind of hip to it, like, oh, this is some bullshit we doing, but I'm gonna go along with it until I'm not really feeling no more. And when Savion Glover's character, Man Ray, is just head over heels, he's popular, you know what I'm saying? Womack starts to see, there's a scene where they getting ready to do the show, they doing the blackface and stuff like that. Womack is crying because at this point he's like, yo, this is some bullshit. And he confronts Man Ray after a practice. That scene is so good. Tommy Davidson, I
He's amazing physical actor.
Yes, yeah, and it was just like, yo, it just the argument, and then him kind of just be like, yeah, so like, just kind of like, I'm gonna go along with it. He walks off and he quits the show eventually, and it was just like, yo, just imagine if the Academy just gave us some love.
Right,
you know
right.
Somebody gave us some love. He was really good in this film.
Yeah, no, he was amazing. I mean, he was great. I feel like also in terms of the white actors, Michael Rappaport playing Dunwitty. Just like the exact kind of like white.
He low key playing himself.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's low key
playing himself.
That's what Spike is always good
funny.
at finding.
Yeah, Spike is good for that. Just like Quentin Tarantino on Girl 6. It's like, you want to be in this movie? I got you.
Right. Well, speaking of Girl 6, also bringing back Susan Batson.
Yes, she plays Pierre's mother.
Yeah.
Paul, the late great Paul Mooney plays his father.
Yeah, Junebug is his character's name. Yeah, Paul Mooney.
And how could I forget the late great Thomas Jefferson Byrd as Honeycutt. He plays the MC of the show. He comes in to warm up the crowd and stuff like that. He's amazing. He's amazing in this film. He has so many quotables.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So many quotables. To be or not to be? That's the motherfucking question. Niggas is a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this stuff.
Too many good lines.
Many good lines.
Yeah,
man.
this film definitely needs to be reconsidered. Like you said, they repurposed it for the Criterion channel. Yeah. Kind of speaking on like modern topics with like how Drake did that photo shoot, kind of reenacting the Bamboozled thing. Pusha T used it for the album cover.
That's crazy. Yo, that was wild. Pusha T is a savage for that. I don't know where he dug that. That shit is like the Kevin James meme going around right now. Like, where do y'all dig this up from? That y'all just decided to just run with this shit. This motherfucker used it as the album art for the disc. Aubrey, he's never recovered from that Pusha T shit, bro.
Oh, nah, never.
He made him acknowledge his child. That was just savagery. That was one of the greatest chess moves ever.
Oh yeah,
in hip hop.
Yeah, for that.
Yeah, Bamboozled, man. This is definitely one of the ones. This joint when it released. I vividly remember reading. My grandmother used to get me 2 newspapers. She's always give me the New York Post and the New York Daily News. And I remember reading the Daily News, and they gave this like 1 star.
Really?
Spike is angry. It's misguided. It's heavy-handed. It's extra. Then I go to the New York Post, and they gave it 4 stars.
Yeah.
So that divide with this film was very divisive. I remember this woman. My brother could probably attest to this. Shout out to my brother Chris, a listener. This woman was outside the movie theater at the Magic Johnson, and she was just like, this is early cell phones. I am so angry. This movie just pissed me off. That imagery was so like, and that's the thing with Spike. He's very heavy-handed.
You're not gonna hold nothing.
Yeah,
and that's when that kind of gets into the Oppenheimer conversation.
Yes,
people been having this whole week.
If y'all missed out, Spike Lee just did an interview. I believe it was for the New York Times or somebody. It's one of those publications.
Washington Post, I think.
Washington Post, there you go. And, they asked him something about Oppenheimer, and Spike said, hey, I'm a fan of the film, love Chris Nolan, but how long is that film? 3 hours? Y'all could devote a couple of minutes to showing how the nuclear bomb affected the Japanese people. And it's valid. It's valid. I'm not saying that he's right or but it's valid.
Yeah.
And the way he handles his films, he definitely would have done that.
Yes.
But Spike always get a thrill. He riles up the people. The white film bros going out their way to shit on him as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Say that he can't say that. He has to make a great film in 20 years. Sure.
Come on. Y'all don't watch Black Klansman?
Yeah, y'all miss Inside Man?
Right.
Y'all miss that?
Right.
Okay, sure.
Right.
But then also it was a lot of the white arrogance in the response.
Saying, he don't know what he's talking about.
He don't know what he's world-renowned filmmaker Spike Lee.
They're making movies before Nolan was probably even born.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Don't know what he's talking about. What do you do? Besides tweet with a picture of fucking Adam Driver as your Avi. Like, what the fuck do you do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And also, just even the way they was discussing the whole Oppenheimer story is like, why talk about them?
Right.
There was a scene already where Yeah, there's a scene in Oppenheimer where he goes to a rally, and he imagines it, and you see white people with their skin peeling off and stuff like that. But that's not the people that were affected by it.
Yeah.
And also, it would not hurt to touch on that because he lived with a lot of guilt because of that. So I get what Spike was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. And I think, the point that I made on Twitter, which is like, I think the point you're alluding to is like, you watch Malcolm X, it literally begins with the real footage of the Rodney King beating. It ends with like little black kids talking to camera, directly to camera, and it ends with Nelson Mandela. Like it's a very personal, subjective biopic all through the lens of Malcolm X, but it also ties it into the real world situation for black people in general. So it's like, yeah, like again, if you don't see the creative choice in that, if you don't value that creative choice, then that's on you. But I think that makes, to me, Malcolm X a superior biopic.
Yes.
Because that to me means that you're able to capture this subjective, real, personal, biographical story while also merging in the real world themes and ideas and everything that you're trying to communicate. So
absolutely.
I think to me, that's why I love Oppenheimer is my favorite movie of the year so far. And I really enjoy it, but I 100% see what Spike is saying. And I think people were saying like, oh, you didn't understand the story, you didn't understand this. I think for one, that's complete arrogance, right?
Yeah.
Like Spike Lee's one of the greatest ever.
One of the greatest storytellers ever. He don't understand the story.
Right. And he literally says in the interview, like, I like the film, like, and
it was a humble opinion.
Right.
He even says, hey, I'm pretty sure Chris Nolan could tell me a thing or two about Do the Right Thing of Malcolm X.
Right.
And this is why I don't understand, but it goes back to how people see Spike. Early on in his career, he was very, making a lot of statements, speaking on everything.
Yeah.
And people see him as arrogant. People see him as angry. So they don't even give him the chance to speak.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he just doesn't play the conventional Hollywood.
Oh,
like,
no.
I'm a fake love everything. Like, he's gonna give you a real opinion. And I think that's why I value him as both a filmmaker and as a film critic. But also one more thing about Oppenheimer, like, there's literally shots in Oppenheimer that I feel like are taken directly from Malcolm X. Like, if I'm talking about, like, there's particularly like one scene where Oppenheimer's like talking to multiple like of his students, like, and walking and talking, and I feel like that's very, very similar to the shot that like of Malcolm X, like when Denzel's on that college campus talking to students, like as he's walking.
I see.
There's a couple of scenes. I've watched Oppenheimer like 4 times. I love that movie. There's a couple of scenes that I'm like, even in some of the speeches, I'm like, this framing is similar. I'm not saying that Nolan watched Malcolm X and like specifically told, but you're not going to tell me he didn't watch Malcolm X and write an Oppenheimer. Like, they're very similar biopics, like in terms of 3-hour personal stories.
I gotta run that. I mean, it's a long ass movie.
It's a long movie. Yeah.
I'm gonna run that back. I never peeped that. Never peeped that. But
I think that, and also too, the idea of like taking one act of each 1 hour of each story, what like each act being like a different chapter of their story is exactly how Oppenheimer plays out, the same way Malcolm X plays out. So again, I don't know if it's a direct connection or correlation, but I definitely feel like Nolan might have watched at least Malcolm X like a couple of times when developing this movie, at the very least. And look, that's not unusual because even Wes Anderson, these white film bros, pretentious film bros hero, like he said directly, like, a lot of my film work is taken directly from Spike Lee, like, when he was promoting the new Netflix short film joints that they got. So like, he, Spike Lee is influential to everybody, not just black people. So
that's the part that I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, like it's just racist way of thinking. Like, it's only black people that likes his shit. It's only black people that don't understand his shit. Right. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Yeah. It's bullshit. So, Bamboozled is definitely one of those films that was lost in time, with all of that.
Definitely worth a rewatch.
Oh, hell yeah. Era. Please run that back. I'm telling you, I was 12 years old, in 2000, and I've never looked. I remember when I seen that montage was just heartbreaking at the end of the movie. Yeah. With all the blackface.
From all the old movies and stuff.
At the time, I did not know it was that real. I was so mad at Bugs Bunny. You would have thought Bugs Bunny was a real person. Yeah. I was like, I'm not watching this motherfucker for a couple years. I was just like, oh no, like it's just amazing how much just the wealth of information you get in that film. Even
that they show like old Disney cartoons in there, that's a real And
Shirley Temple. What's Shorty? The Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah,
Judy Garland.
Right.
Mickey Rooney.
Right. Yeah, Judy Garland wasn't that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
All your white favorite.
Fred Astaire.
All of them.
Yeah.
They all guilty of that shit. They all guilty of that shit. You can say what you want. You can say, oh, it was the times and this and that. But come on, there's some that didn't do it. There's some that made a choice not to do it.
Yep.
They probably didn't want to be black in any. They was like, oh, you want me to look like a Negro? No, thank you. But motherfuckers was doing it, you know, and I remember I had a lot of misguided hate towards the Step and Fetchits and the Bojangles and them. I you know, oh, they coons, you know. This is how they had to pay their bills. Like a lot of these black entertainers, like it's sad when you think about it. It's like, yo, motherfucker, you want to get paid here? Do this. Here, do that. Make fun of your own, you know, like degrade yourself. You know, and unfortunately, a lot of that shit still go on today.
Yeah.
It's very subtle. Y'all don't realize it, but when y'all motherfuckers is watching Bobby Althoff interview these rappers, this shit is a form of bamboozle. The girl is acting like an awkward white girl. Talking to these rappers. She's in bed with Drake. Being awkward.
That was nasty, right? Like,
and these motherfuckers, oh, I would hit that. Yeah, you dumbass. You were bamboozled. Okay? The girl is playing into a stereotype of awkward white girl talking to these black men.
They're all scared.
Yeah, let me be all, let me go to the strip club with Sukihana and just be on some, I don't want to be around these mammies. Like, this is all the bullshit, and y'all just eating it up. Content. This is the shit Spike Lee's talking about in Bamboozled.
Yeah, no, he was getting real with it. I think he was getting real with it in Bamboozled. I think he was starting to lightly touch on it in the film that came right before it with Girl 6 in 99.
96.
Girl 96. Oh, my bad.
Girl 6 was 96.
Oh, but there's another one. The Summer of We'll talk about these. We'll talk about these.
Now, before let's talk about that period. We all know Spike Lee's filmography from 1986 to 1992. And in some cases, some people might throw in 94. You're talking about She's Gotta Have His School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, Jungle Fever, Malcolm X. And like I said, you might want to throw in Crooklyn in there because for our generation, honestly, I've realized in the last few years, Crooklyn may be more revered than Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X with our generation.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's people that might have not seen Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X, but they definitely saw Crooklyn. And that has a place in their heart. That's another film that when it came out, it didn't do well. You know, but
very personal film.
Yes,
with Spike and his whole family.
Absolutely. But like them first 5 films were the blockbuster Spike Lee films. Not blockbuster as in it's making hundreds of millions of dollars. But if you go back and look at the box office receipts for those films and you look at the per theater average, they were outdoing the number 1 films at the time. So you talking about a packed house for every joint. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of OGs that tell me, yo, we waited online to see Spike's films. Like it was like an event. But you know, after Crooklyn,
Clockers too. After that,
Clockers, and this is where his filmography gets a little I don't want to say spotty. That's not the word I want to use, but the people didn't really gravitate to his films as much. I'm a huge Prince fan, and I really think about Prince and Spike Lee a lot. And Prince had the '80s. Prince had, Controversy, Dirty Mind, Controversy, 1999, Purple Rain, Around the World in a Day, Parade, Sign of the Times, Love Sexy, Batman. That was like considered the genius period,
right?
The commercial peak period. But once the 90s hit, it started to get, as far as the audience, it started to get a little spotty. Some people were checking for stuff. He changed his name to the symbol. Things got a little weird for him commercially,
right?
And I think this kind of reflects Spike in the mid to late 90s going forward. You know what I'm saying? I think he starts trying new things, telling different stories. Not everything was I'm angry at racism. It was not every film was like that. Of course there was hints of it in these films, but it was trying to tell different stories. And like, Clockers, which I think is considered a hood classic, I still don't see it in the conversation with a lot of great films. It's not.
I personally consider one of the better crime movies I've ever seen. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. But I guess it isn't in that same conversation. But I really Harvey Keitel in that film really sold me on like this gangster. Even before he was I mean, this was like around, I guess, Reservoir Dogs time and like Pulp Fiction time, but it's still like he played that like detective looking into the
Rocco Klein.
So this is his particular area in Brooklyn.
Gowanus. This is Gowanus, Brooklyn.
Gowanus, Brooklyn. So it's like very. I mean, from what I read online, this is a little bit more of like a spotty like kind of area or something like that. Yeah.
Especially in the 90s.
Yeah.
Especially anywhere that's a cut in Brooklyn. When it's in the cut, that shit is a little rough.
Yeah,
nobody could see it. Nobody goes there as much. Yeah, shit gets like Red Hook. Red Hook was the hood for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Brownsville was the hood for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Strike was just a knucklehead in the streets. He was selling dope for Rodney, played by the great Delroy Lindo.
Yeah,
and oddly enough, this film was supposed to be a Scorsese film originally.
Really,
this was supposed to be a Scorsese film. This was also centered as the book. The book was also centered around Rocco Klein.
Oh,
and
really?
It was Spike that said, you know what? Let's rework this. Let's put Strike in the forefront and kind of tell that side of the story. Because Spike's whole mission with Clockers was to kind of kill off the gangster films that picked up. And Spike loves John Singleton, so this is not a slight to John Singleton. But Boys in the Hood kind of created that genre of And Boys in the Hood meant well. It was a very message-heavy film. But then when Hollywood caught onto it, it was like, oh, let's get more of these black motherfuckers killing each other. Let's get asses in seats. Let's get some hood shit. Let's hire rappers and just have them shoot each other throughout the film and give it a good soundtrack.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you look at films like Jason's Lyric, which was a cool, cool romance.
Until it turns into
it turns to Treach and Bokeem Woodbine a shootout at the end of the movie. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And that was basically that was their whole game plan with black film at one point. It just got crazy. Movies like South Central, which had a message, but it was just like, all right, how much shoot 'em up, bang bang, hood films are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? And Clockers was supposed to be his nail in the coffin with that.
Like kind of ending that. And I kind of did enjoy like the aspects, the conversations of murder that like happened in this movie. How like everybody in the community was like, I don't see nothing. I didn't see nothing. Yeah.
And it's crazy because I actually saw Clockers in theaters originally.
Oh really?
My mom took me to go see Clockers in '95. The opening credit sequence is one of the scariest shits I've ever seen in my life. It was, at the time, I thought it was real photos of crime scene photos. Come to find out, it's recreations of real photos. Spike went to the NYPD and they showed him something that they called the family album.
Oh.
Dark humor. They called it the family album. And it was a bunch of pictures of drug-related murders that Spike had his brother David Lee go out and reshoot and recreate. So a lot of that stuff you see in Clockers, and this is why Spike is great with opening up films. He sets you up for what you're about to see for the next 2 hours or so.
Right.
You sit there and it's just a sobering, like you just finished watching Menace to Society. You just finished watching this film. Let me show you how this shit really looks. You know what I'm saying? And I loved how they opened up the film with that, and it's just a great crime drama. You know what I'm saying? It's a great crime drama shot by Malik Hassan Saeed, who was he shot Belly. He shot Girl 6. He shot He Got Game. It's just I just love the oversaturated colors.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Especially with the flashback scenes where it's like that scene.
Oh yeah. Was this the first movie that kind of introduced that like style element from Spike Lee's film?
Yeah.
Because I feel like he used that a lot and He Got Game. Like subsequently used that a lot. But now I'm thinking about it, I wasn't previously in this film.
And this is what I'm saying. Like around like the mid 90s, Spike starts experimenting with different looks. His films look different. They feel different. And I think this is what led to people kind of just being like, and then also just his preachy, quote unquote, preachy side. I think a lot of people was kind of over it by the time, we got to the mid 90s.
Right. But I still, this movie right here, I mean, it also laid the groundwork really good for like Inside Man, going forward, like how just Spike's gonna handle the crime mystery drama of it. Yeah, I got to go back and rewatch that one. Honestly, I haven't watched it in about 10 years. But
I love the dialogue in this film with the white cops is calling black folks the yos. The yos. That the whole Daryl. Oh God, what's his name? Steve White played the dude that Strike. Well, somebody killed. You see the movie for yourself. Somebody killed his brother, Daryl Adams.
Yes. Yeah.
That scene where they go to the crime scene And he's like, live by the gun, die by the gun. He picks up his head and his brain is hanging out. I remember being in the theater for that. Everybody was like, oh! You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Another thing that I also remember being in the theater for was Spike's cameo. Oh, everybody went crazy in the theater when you seen Spike. Like, you know, he's like, oh, that boy got shot up. You know what I'm saying? That's you know, I love clockers.
That's a really good one.
The very next year, you know, I talked about Prince earlier, how a lot of their careers kind of similar in a sense. Prince and Spike had a very good relationship. And Spike also caught a lot of heat for his portrayal of women in his films, you know, especially Mo Better Blues. So for 96, you know, he's married man, you know, playwright Susan Laurie Parks?
Susan Laurie Parks, yes.
Yeah, and he's just like, look, man, I want to do right. I'm a married man now. I got a daughter. I want to do right. And he did Girl 6, which Girl 6 is, again, Prince, Spike come together. This is the film that introduced me to Prince. You know, I got, you know, my grandmother worked the premiere, came home with Girl 6 programs and the soundtrack. So this is what put me on to Prince. And I think this is another one that, it's weird. Spike's films, you know, like you said, you know, a lot of them are slept on, but this one just hasn't really, you know, in the years since it released, this one just hasn't been reappraised.
Yeah, it's interesting because I personally love this movie a lot. There are some people. I think there are some YouTubers. I'm blanking on their name right now. Like black female YouTubers, black women YouTubers who I've gone back and rewatched this film. They didn't have the most favorable opinions on it. I will say that. But then like that's the only like real reevaluation I've seen of it as of like the past like 5 years. But
so you think that's why it's just kind of stalled?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a why. But I personally, you know, for me, just watching it again, I'm not a woman, but for me, I loved the whole commentary on sexploitation that was evident throughout it. Right,
she's a sex worker.
Right.
Let's look at what's going on now on OnlyFans girls.
Right.
If they updated Girl 6, this will work today.
Yeah, no, true.
Yeah,
true,
like look,
true.
she's a struggling actress that decides to go into phone sex, and going into phone sex, she sees all sorts of weird shit, these weird dudes, and her life changes in many ways. There's no real like this happens, that happens. It's just like things just happen. It's a very loose story, and I think what also led to people ignoring it or bashing it is that this wasn't really your message heavy Spike joint.
Yeah,
this was kind of loose. It was a comedy.
Yeah, it's comedy. It's a comedy, but then there's some times where there's like some sprinkles of a message. I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah,
but there was one part in particular where that's Teresa Randall. She's sitting there on the couch watching news, and then randomly it just shows like a news report of a young girl.
I did not like that. You know, I like Girl 6, but that little, and Spike love him some subplots. And that just was a subplot that didn't work for me. I didn't know where they was going with that.
Yeah.
And the whole elevator going down the elevator shaft. You know, I don't know where that. I don't know.
Right. I mean, if I had to guess, I'm thinking the whole thing is like black girls or black women aren't protected the way they should be. That was kind of the way I read it. But it was just interesting, like watching this mostly comedic movie, and this scene kind of came out of nowhere. I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
But that being said, though, we mentioned it before, but that opening scene where she's having that audition with Quentin Tarantino, and it's kind of projecting history in a weird way.
Yeah, that's y'all man's.
Yeah.
Gonna make the greatest black romance film ever, directed by me, of course. Like, that's your man's, bro.
Yeah, he's like, we got Denzel, we got Wesley, and then she's like, whoa, you're mentioning all these names.
Yeah.
What part am I gonna play?
No, but and the way he was mentioning, he was like,
we got Denzel, Wesley, Fish. They're all signed up to play supporting roles in the film. But what we need, what are you looking at?
Well, because when you said their names, it's supporting.
Don't talk. Listen.
Okay.
So whatever, like, you know, and then he's trying to get her to take off her top. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that look was crazy, and that's just that's a Spike Lee way of opening the movie, though. Like, just opening with the craziest thing, and then also there's other directors kind of cameo in this film in a certain kind of way. Like Peter Berg plays the first.
This is when Peter Berg was acting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cameos in this film. Madonna is in it. Halle Berry shows up briefly. Naomi Campbell, you know what I'm saying? This was definitely like, Yeah, Spike definitely flexed his muscles with this one. It was like he called up whoever to be in it. And then, you had Prince doing the soundtrack, which the soundtrack is amazing. If anybody's ever heard, go to Tidal. It's on Tidal. Go to Tidal, go to eBay, get you the Girl 6 soundtrack. It's an amazing soundtrack. I actually think this is the best compilation of Prince music other than the hits and B-sides collection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Spike curated, and that's another thing, Prince gave, Prince and Spike is boys. He gave Spike full clearance to come to Paisley Park and pick whatever he wants. It's like, nice. Come to the vault and come get whatever you want. So you get some unreleased. The opening credit song, She Spoke to Me.
Oh, yeah.
When I was younger, I thought he wrote that for the film. Come to find out, that song was like recorded like 3-4 years before the film came out.
Really?
So this just goes to show you how Spike's ear for music, he could pick the right songs. And it's Girl 6 is cool. It's really cool. It's not his best, but it's definitely one of those joints that slept on.
Yeah, and I think just going back real quick to like the OnlyFans commentary of it, I think like when you're talking about how like sex workers today prefer OnlyFans to more traditional stuff like traditional porn companies and stuff, is because they have their own independence and liberation on how they control their monetization, their content. And I think it showed in such a really good scene of where she had talked to 2 phone worker companies. She talked to the one that was like the female-owned one, where Jennifer Lewis was, running it, and that was a very open, very like welcoming environment. And she goes with the guys, and it's just like, oh yeah, like record your voice in this recorder.
Yeah, just here, hurry up.
Yeah,
it's like bring me a water. It's like good job, honey. It's just very sleazy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a very I gotta run this joint back. I gotta run it back. It's a funny film. You know what I'm saying? But yes, to your point, I picked up on that, and this is why I feel like I mean, I don't know if Spike would be able to do it today, but I do think he should like executive produce something, a reboot, or or turn into a series, but put a woman to direct it.
Yeah, no,
a woman to write it.
I would love to see that.
I would love to see that.
But also too, oh my gosh, sorry, one more thing, because I literally watched this movie like pretty recently for the spot.
Yeah.
The Spike Lee's acting in this film, playing Jimmy.
Jimmy no live here. Jimmy no live here.
Hello? Jimmy no live here. Jimmy no live here.
Girl 6. No, fuck Girl 6. Spike acting in films. If you ever get to meet or be around Spike Lee, he plays himself in every single film. That is him. You know what I'm saying? Even down to Jimmy owning the memorabilia.
Yeah, the
all of that, that's all Spike shit. That's all his stuff. That's from his personal collection.
Yeah.
The picture of the 55 Dodgers, the Ken Griffey car, that's all his shit. So that is like the most personal Spike role ever. I remember that shit from the commercial. Jimmy don't live here. Jimmy don't live here. This movie is fun. Yeah, and he's good in it because it's just like
he's just a roommate. Like I don't even know if they're like dating or anything like that.
It's such a weird relationship dynamic. Oh, he's just Jimmy from across the hall.
Right.
So
he's just eating together.
You're doing that phone bone stuff, huh?
How much longer are you gonna do this phone bone stuff?
Phone bone. It's so Spike. Like this shit is so.
And then he starts eating the dinner, and she's like, hey, we didn't pray yet. It's like, all right, let's pray. And then they literally do it for like 2 seconds.
Bam. Yeah, it's just good.
Oh, so funny, man.
Yo, man.
So funny.
And he's just pressing her about her career choices. It's just like, why you not at? You're not doing that. What are you doing? It's just nagging Spike shit, bruh. I love Girl 6. I love Girl 6. I don't care what nobody say, man.
Yeah.
One thing about Spike and his quote unquote failures, they're all interesting.
Oh, for sure.
He has interesting failures. Like it's quote unquote failures. There's something you could take from everything he does.
Yeah.
That Coney Island boardwalk scene.
That's good.
To Prince's,
Alicia
Keys ended up covering the song years later, but Prince in 1982 made a song that was a B-side to a single from 1999 called "How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore." And there's a scene where Girl 6 tries to meet up with Peter Berg, Bob Regular,
right? Because he just been talking about his mom the whole time. Like
they have a connection.
Yeah,
they make a connection. And this is where she fuck up because you're supposed to be there just getting these motherfuckers off. You over here making friends and shit. And she decides to go, and they tell her, girl, don't go and meet up with nobody. You're wilding. And she goes to go meet up with him at Coney Island. This is when the reality of her situation settles in because he doesn't show up. He stands her up. This is all fake. You know what I'm saying? This is all fake. And as she's on the boardwalk waiting, Prince is just wailing, and you just get the visuals.
It was like all foggy that day. They picked the perfect day to film it. It was so
beautiful fucking scene. I love this scene, dog. Like, this is one of the great Spike moments. Like, then this is what I say, like, and everything that might not work for everybody, there's something nice, dope to take from it. You know what I'm saying? But Girl 6, well, 96
came out the same year. Wow.
96 is where, you know, once again, people know the first 5 or 6 Spike joints. The classics, the ones that live on forever. Most of them are in the Library of Congress. But from 96 and on, there's a period of films that kind of came and went originally, but they're just as strong as the first 5 or 6 Spike films. Let me tell you what these films are. The next film we're going to talk about is Get on the Bus. After Get on the Bus, you get He Got Game. After He Got Game, you get Some of Sam. After that, you get Bamboozled. Then you get 25th Hour.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't even. Well, yeah, I don't know if I.
He's knocking them out the park after that.
Yeah, that's an all time.
But in real time, it was just like, oh, it's a new Spike film.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? It just was. It didn't.
That's better than some directors' whole filmography.
You feel me?
Stretch of films right
you
there.
feel me?
Yeah.
Those stretch of films are so strong, and and the variety of each is they're all so different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not too long after, I mean, She Hate Me comes. After 25th
Which,
Hour.
again, that's another one we could talk about later. But I love She Hate Me.
We gonna tap into that one.
I love that one.
You know, and then you get Inside Man. So like Spike's filmography, man. Which you don't even have to talk about the hits. You could talk about the other the stuff in between. You know what I'm saying? And Get on the Bus is another one of them. A wonderfully written. You get every nuanced portrayal of a black man in this film, and what I love from every angle, and they're on a bus the entire film. You don't feel claustrophobic, and it's just the characters are so colorful that you can't help but be entertained and be just immersed in what's going on in the film. One thing I will give Get on the Bus for credit for is at the time, you know, black homosexuality is portrayed a certain way.
Yes.
You know, I come from, listen, I laugh at anything. Men on Film, David Wayans and David Alan Grier, In Living Color, that shit is funny. I don't care what you say. I don't care how overtly homophobic it might come off. That shit is funny. But this is the first time I remember watching this film as a kid and seeing Isaiah Washington and Harry Lennox play a couple. And bro, I'm just like, how are they gay? Where's the feathers?
Right.
Where's the flamboyant shit?
They're not even kissing each other. They're not even touching each other. Yeah.
But they embrace each other in the way they talk. They're clearly a couple. Yeah. And the way they kind of embrace each other and talk about their struggles, talk about their identities, it was so different. And
it added realness to their relationship because they also talked about their differences, how they disagree about certain things.
Because Isaiah Washington's, which is crazy because it ended up playing out in real life, he's a Republican in the film. You know, he's a Republican. He's a gay. He's a black gay Republican. Just talking about 3 strikes and you're out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And the way they kind of touch on that is amazing. And I hadn't seen anything like that until after that. It was Moonlight. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Just the portrayal of black homosexuality was very interesting. You had, again, the late, great Thomas Jefferson Byrd, you know, who he plays in the film. He plays
Evan Sr., the father.
Evan Thomas Sr.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you got
the junior.
Yeah, DeAndre Barnes plays Junior. He's the little roughneck, little ruffian in the street. They chain together on some work, like on some court shit. They're supposed to be chained together. It's the craziest thing. And then, you know, the film opens up with the imagery of chains and stuff like that. So there's an interesting commentary with that. You know what I'm saying? You got Charles S. Dutton who's he's driving the bus. Right. The late, great Ozzie Davis plays Jeremiah. He's basically the backbone, the spiritual backbone of everybody on that bus.
Holding it together.
Bernie Mac is in it.
Right. Andre Burchard, which he
Andre Braugher.
Yeah,
from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Exactly. Yeah.
He plays Flip. He's like a actor. He's just an overzealous actor.
But he's trying to be pro-black and go into the thing. Yeah.
The funniest shit in that is my man Wendell Pierce. He comes on the bus. And he's just a sleazy car salesman. Yeah. And the way he gets on the bus, he makes it seem like, yo, brothers getting together. Blah, blah, blah. And as he's comfy in the bus, your man is smoking the cigar, just talking mad shit. Niggas need cars. Yeah. Like, yo, that whole scene, and they check him and they throw him off the bus.
They do throw him off the bus.
God, that shit is hilarious. Roger Guinevere Smith, who plays Smiley and Do the Right Thing, he's in this film as well. Yo, it's a lot. Yo, it's. You know what this feels like? It feels like a stage play.
It is. And, if I'm not mistaken, this was the first screenplay from writer Reggie Rock Bythewood, who is, for one, married to the incredible Gina Prince Bythewood.
Yes.
And for two, he's an incredible writer and director in his own right. He did shows like Shots Fired on Fox, Dancing in September, which came out in 2000, a little bit after this time.
He's doing Swagger right now, right?
Swagger, which is one of my favorite shows on TV. I've talked about this relentlessly. Swagger I think they're fighting to get renewed for season 3 right now because season 2 ratings or whatever. Get Swagger back for season 3, please. It's an incredible basketball show.
Yeah, we can't lose another great show because of this strike. We already lost Winning Time, which is terrible.
Yeah, we got to get Swagger back, and he's a phenomenal. He's just great at just telling these social justice stories, but making it feel so human and so raw. And this was. I watched Get on the Bus during the pandemic. It was on Netflix during the pandemic. I watched it at least 3 or 4 times back to back to back. It was such a good, not exactly back to back to back, but over a couple days, few days. Such a brilliant, like you said, every character was their own representation, their own flavor of blackness, and they all talked about it. It's just a conversation of this film got really into the most conversation of what does it mean to be a black man?
Yes,
you could be. Do you have to vote a certain way? Do you have to love certain type of people? Do you have to have certain, religious ideologies? Do you have to conduct yourself a certain way, old versus young? They handle every single conversation.
And also, I'd like to add that, the film was produced by 15 affluent black men. Will Smith, Wesley Snipes, Johnny Cochran. There's a few black men that all put money together to get this done. In the same vein of Malcolm X.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, that this film was put together. I think Harry Belafonte was one of them.
Yes, Will Smith, Danny Glover, Wesley Snipes, Johnny Cochran,
Robert Guillaume, who played Benson, and this is just this is so good, and I don't think I've ever seen anything since like it. It's such a nuanced portrayal of black manhood.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna get real here. I'm sick and tired of the climate today, which you can't say certain things, you can't do certain things, and it's almost like you can't even portray flawed people because people want to get offended. You know what I'm saying? This a Flip in this film is attacking Isaiah Washington verbally and calls him the F word. Yeah. You can't show that nowadays. Everybody gets all, this is real life.
Yeah. Especially in the 90s.
Yeah, this is real life. There's ignorant people just like that in this world. And you gotta show that. You gotta show all of these things, flaws and all. And you gotta have these conversations. You know what I'm saying? Not everything is to be reacted to and just be outraged. Let's stop being afraid of the smoke. Let's not duck the smoke.
Right. Let's actually talk about
let's talk about these things.
And that's, it's so fascinating because, and maybe I'm showing my age here, you know what I mean? But I really wasn't too familiar with the Millions Man's March, before watching this film. I didn't, I was born in 97, so the Millions Man's March
missed it.
Happened in 95. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't really know that much about it. But watching this film, I'm like, yo, this was a real thing. And
there's so many people that was there at the time. It was like, yo, by the way, the film was released exactly a year after. It was on the year to the date of the Million Man March.
That's a crazy turnaround.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. He really got this shit up and going quick. You know what I'm saying? And this is, it's like a time capsule. And a time capsule that's still timeless.
Yeah.
You still can get conversations from this film. Please, whatever y'all do, you know, it's a shame that this is not readily available elsewhere.
Yeah, it was streaming on Netflix for the longest time. I don't know why they took it off, but
where's the physical release? I know that it was on DVD, and I have never seen it since. Where's the physical release for this film? Come on, who has the Columbia Pictures, Sony? Y'all got the rights to this shit? Come on, bro.
Yeah, we need that.
We need the 4K.
That.
Come on now.
Yeah, that's like, I feel like kids of all generations would appreciate this film. Yes. Like, I feel like when we look back, even like 30, 40, 50 years from now, and like look at what some of the great conversation starter movies are, in the same way that, you know, a lot of film critics love that film Dinner with Andre. Dinner with Andre, that's like the two guys just having that conversation at the dinner table. That, and you know, people renowned that as a classic, rightfully so. But I think real film scholars will have to go back and look on Get on the Bus in that same kind of way, because it does that same thing as My Dinner with Andre, but like 10, you know, 2, 3, 4, like 5 times fold, because it's really like 10 characters on the bus, like in total, and then they all have a valuable, different perspective on the Black experience. So,
absolutely,
yeah, that's great, man.
And you know, after Get on the Bus, you get the great documentary For Little Girls.
Yes, Oscar-nominated documentary.
Yes, amazing. And there's something to be said about Spike's documentary work. If you want to talk about if you want to take away all the narrative films and just keep the documentaries, that brother is hitting 100 at bat. Like, you know, there's not a miss with the documentaries. That's just the type of filmmaker he is, a storyteller he is. His shit is rich. It's very rich. It's very relevant to the times. That's where he excels, probably better than his narratives. Let's be real.
Yeah.
After this is He Got Game, which we all know about, man. He Got Game is it's pop culture. It's a pop culture staple. I mean, there's a pair of Jordans that's called the He Got Games. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Denzel Washington's in it. You already know the vibes with that one. But after that, he does Summer of Sam. Summer of Sam in 1999. I remember when that came out. My mother went to go see it. She hated it.
Yeah, she didn't like this one.
Yeah, she didn't like it because, you know, she thought it was going to be solely about the David Berkowitz killer. Like, that was going to be because I remember when it was coming out, I remember her and my aunt was sitting around. They was like, girl, you remember that? I got to go see this movie because I remember that summer, like, vividly, because, you know, they grew up in Brooklyn when all that shit was going down. And they thought the film was going to be solely about the manhunt for the killer, when really it's about a neighborhood during the situation. And typical Spike, he wants to look at the people that's affected by the real world situation as opposed to just honing into the subject. And, you know, this one stars John Leguizamo, Mira Sorvino, Adrian Brody.
Oh my gosh. So good in this movie.
What's my man's name? Michael Imperioli, who, you know, he wrote this film.
Really? Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, Michael Imperioli, who played Christopher in The Sopranos, he wrote this film with the guy that he wrote it with.
Victor Coli.
Colachico. Yeah, my brother. This is the Italian name.
Right.
But he's also in this film, and he's also in to remember who that Victor guy is. Remember Inside Man when he was talking to the cop about what's going on, and the cop was almost slipped up and said something about like colors or something like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the guy that helped write this film.
Oh, I know that.
Funny, oddly enough, Michael Imperioli said recently in an interview that he used witchcraft to get this film greenlit. I don't know.
What does that even mean?
He said that, you know, he was struggling to get, you know, he was writing shit and struggling to get a scene, and he went to go see a witchcraft lady, and that's how this film got made. I don't know how true that is, but hey, shout out to her. Shout out to the extra spirits and the forces, because this is another strong Spike Lee joint, man.
Yeah.
This one, and again, coming from a personal place. Spike talks about that summer of 77 often, because that was the summer when he realized he wanted to become a filmmaker.
Oh, really?
Matter of fact, one of the first things Spike shot was a short called The Last Hustle in Brooklyn, where he went out onto the streets during the riots, during the blackouts and stuff, and had a Super 8 camera and was recording things going on. He was recording people at outside block parties. This was the summer of, you know, hip hop was, you know, people was outside throwing parties and stuff like that. You know, very early in hip hop is when they was cutting up disco records and shit. But, you know, this is what was happening, and you see all of that in this film. All of that, you know, there's a montage where the people is going crazy in the street. You see Evander Holyfield I don't know how Evander Holyfield got a cameo in this film, but he's carrying a TV with a fake afro. You know what I'm saying? The scene that I love. Please, show me who's the name. What's the name of the brother Spike? Spike is in this film too.
Yeah, he's I know John Jeffries or something like that. Yeah.
There's the scene where he's on the scene. He's in a neighborhood in Brooklyn talking to black people. Yeah. And Joie Lee is in it, and all black people. I wish that motherfucker come here. He ain't coming to do or die. Bed-Stuy to do that shit. Come over here with that shit. See what's up. It's black people talking shit. And then, he talks to Joie Lee is in there. She does her thing. And then he gets to Susan Batson. And she's like, I pray that this is a white man killing those white people.
Because if it's a black man,
this will be the biggest race riot. And then she turns to Spike. I'm surprised to see you in this black neighborhood. You don't like black people, yo. My man turns around. This is John Jeffries. And they are dying, cracking up behind him. I love that scene so much. Yo. And this is where there's always humor in the Spike Lee joint. No matter how serious it is, Spike's humor is so strong. You know what I'm saying? So, when that happens, that shit is hilarious, bro.
That one, that I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to reference that exact scene. His cameo as that news reporter was
just deadpan. John Jeffries, ABC News. And then again, the music. It goes Spike with the music again. There's an incredible scene with John Leguizamo and Mira Sorvino arguing in a cemetery because John Leguizamo was a wild womanizer. And he went to the sex club. His joint was getting banged out. In the orgy, and he was enjoying it. She was always insecure and always looking at him like, yo, like he don't want to fuck me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sorry for the vulgarity, but it's like, this is what she was thinking. And she's seeing him enjoying, getting the joint, doing whatever. So it starts an argument on the way home. And ABBA's Dancing Queen is playing in the car. And I love when Spike does it. He gets something happy and jolly, but there's a lot of chaos happening in the scene. And she goes, I'm going to go to Harlem and get me a black dude, a big black. I love that. I actually saw that at BAM. For the 20th anniversary, and people were clapping when she was going because it was just her ranting. She was at her wit's end with her partner.
Because low key, he was like dogging her out the whole movie. The whole movie. He's like, I'm feeling guilty. I don't want to cheat. And then he's with the homegirl. He's like, she's like, come on, you're so selfish. He's like, all right, let's do it one more time. John Leguizamo, which apparently I heard Adrian Brody was supposed to be the main character.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But then I think Spike, at least according to the internet, I guess Spike liked John Leguizamo's performance and his character, and added more scenes.
I do remember Italians at the time was not too happy about that because John Leguizamo was Puerto Rican, or I think Colombian and Puerto Rican or something like that, and he's playing an Italian. I know Italians weren't too happy about it. I know the families of the victims weren't too happy about the film. I do remember that. I remember them even interviewing David Berkowitz in jail, and he was just, born again Christian, and he's just kind of like, this is terrible. Why would they do this? You kill these people, right?
Right. I do feel like again, I think there is something to be said about over glorifying murderers and killers and things like that. And I think you should be right to kind of have like some sort of backlash about, especially if you're a victim of the family. I definitely think there are so many killers that like we've seen movies of where there wasn't that much backlash. Like Zodiac came out, kind of came and went. There's mass serial killer movies we've seen over the years. So. But I'm glad Spike did make the decision to like focus it mostly on the people, because it does make it feel like a more honest Spike Lee movie. You know what I mean? And kind of having those murders in the background. Well, I will say though, going again to you were mentioning about the opening of Spike Lee films, right? Like that opening sequence when it's just the news reporter talking about summer '77, and it cuts right to the David Berkowitz dude like yelling in his apartment, like and it's like the wide shot just panning through the thing. I'm like, yo, this is sick.
It's dark.
Like, yeah.
You know what I love? I love the scene when he's about to kill the people and you hear the Yankee game playing in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Down to like him dodging the cars, like, and a swing and a miss, this and that, until he fires off, he puts the Luger in him, and it's just like, home run.
Like, yeah. I'm like, yo, Spike is going.
Respect my man.
Yeah, like
respect
he going deep
my
with
man.
it. Those are some tough sequences right there.
Yo, respect my man, dog. Like he is just a visionary. So, You know, that comes, you know, we talked about Bamboozled, that followed it, which is crazy that he just followed that with another fucking Bamboozled, you know.
Right.
And then
this is like such a what a range. You know what I mean? Going from this crime thriller that was mostly Italian Americans going to this black comedy satire.
And then, you know, after that is 25th Hour.
Yeah.
25th Hour. Now, let me tell y'all something. I'm from New York, y'all. Mm-hmm. When them towers went down, that place was just gloomy. It was just gloomy, sad. And I've never seen a film depict New York post 9/11, immediately post 9/11, the way 25th Hour did.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, this might have been the first movie to film in New York post 9/11.
Yes. The shot of Ground Zero and everything.
With the lights pointing up. Beautiful stuff.
The opening credits. Amazing.
It's funny. Like I personally didn't even rewatch this movie because I didn't even know if like we're considering it underrated. I feel like a lot of people consider it one of Spike's best, but I don't know.
But when it came out, Disney didn't even submit it for the Oscars. They didn't even submit it for awards. It just came and went.
Yeah, I think that because this movie had Edward Norton and Philip Seymour Hoffman, especially after Philip Seymour Hoffman died, it's got a lot of reappraisal, and I think a lot of people now consider it one of the greatest movies of the century. I put it in my, or actually no, never mind. I never did a whole like greatest of the century. I've done like greatest like this past decade, but post 2000s, I would definitely put this as like one of the top films post 2000s.
I know some people that have it as like a top 3 Spike joint.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting in that conversation because like you mentioned, it's the idea. There's so many themes in this film, right? It's the idea of the post 9/11 world. It's the idea of this like incarceration, right? Prison, right? Like
because I'm sorry to cut you off. For those that don't know, 25th Hour, it was from a book, I believe, and it's about a man who is basically his last 24 hours before he gets locked up. He's a drug dealer, got caught up, and he's about to go to jail. And he's just basically, you know, mending fences, you know, with certain people. He's really figuring out who's for it, there for him, who's not. You know, it's a deep character piece. Yeah, it's a hugely deep character piece, and every character is 3-dimensional. Like, you're talking about Edward Norton's character of Monty. He's terrified of going to prison. He's also terrified of his relationship with Naturelle, who's played by Rosario Dawson. Is she gonna cheat on him? Is she gonna leave him for somebody else? Did she even sell him out to begin with? Like, these are like tough questions. This is the opening, and he got his brother. I don't know if it's not his brother, but his friend Barry Pepper, kind of like his like really close friend, who was just like laughing it off, like, man, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be
like,
good. You'll be back home. You'll be all right.
Right.
Then he's kind of looking at him like, you been looking at my bitch?
You
know, because he's a sleazy dude, like womanizer. And then you got Philip Seymour Hoffman, who plays Jacob Elinsky. Yeah. He's the teacher
who's low-key might be a pedophile
because he's having he wants to have a relationship with Anna Paquin, who plays a student, and she's kind of coming on to him. There's that incredible scene where they kiss each other. And he does the dolly shot. He's just like in a trance, like, yo, what the fuck? Let's not forget one of the greatest scenes in all of cinema, the fuck you montage. Which could double as a love letter to New York, because it's like New York flaws and all. All this racist shit is almost like a great like brother to the Do the Right Thing, fourth wall breaking slur scene. The slur scene though. Dago wop, da. They get fucking pizza, go the fuck back to Africa. It's like the same energy, but it's the fuck you montage where he's just sounding off on every and anything about New York, and the brothers uptown playing basketball, motherfuckers taking mad steps. You know what I'm saying?
The Italians like in the bag.
Italians are fuck out of here. Velour suit wearing motherfuckers. You know, he's cutting ass on everybody, and also, which was very real at the time, is the, you know, brown people. They got a lot. Post 9/11 was the most open racism I've ever seen towards brown people. And it's still going on to this day, because I don't know if y'all know, Israel was just bombed the other day. And there's a whole conversation, everybody pray for Israel, and this is they're trying to demonize the people of Palestine, when if you know the history, I mean,
it shouldn't be a conversation.
It should not be a conversation. If you know the history about Israel and Palestine, I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Right.
So a lot of that, at the time, the curry steam coming out the port, the rag, towel headed. It was just a lot of that anger. That shit was really happening at the time. And I just think that this film, man, everybody gets it on every angle with that montage, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it was shot. The music, Terrence Blanchard just going off on the trumpet as he's just shitting on New York.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
One of the greatest scenes of all time, man.
Yes.
I believe in the director's commentary, Spike had talked about how that. I don't know if the scene was either in the book, it might have not either been in the original book.
I haven't heard that commentary in a long time.
Yeah, nah. I'm telling you, when I was in college, I might have watched this movie 20 times.
When this shit came out on DVD, I watched this shit every day.
Yeah.
I watched this movie. I literally watched it every day. This and Bamboozled. I remember when I bought those DVDs, I watched it every day.
Yeah, nah, that's real. And like you mentioned, the oversaturated parts in this film, when he's thinking about going the other way, taking the other highway and living that imaginary life for Rosario Dawson.
That
such a heartbreaking ending. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the FU montage part of it too, that's also the oversaturated footage in that segment. But yeah,
shot by Matthew Libatique. Shout out to Matt.
Oh, see, I didn't know that either. And then, but it does such a good job of showing you the fear and anxiety that his character's feeling, but also just the outside world of all of it, right? How these outside of him going to prison, outside of him dealing with drug charges and stuff, just the pressures of being a New Yorker. Yeah. His father is running this firehouse pub, and they're just going on and chanting it's just he's a very
Yankees.
Yeah. Played by the great Brian Cox from Succession. Yeah. But it's just such a good portray a dichotomy of this guy is the most not authority oriented, kind of drug dealer dude versus his father who wants to live the straight and narrow. By the way, Isaiah Whitworth Jr.
This is the introducing of
The very first introduction, which it became iconic from The Wire.
But
this was before The Wire, so I was that's
shit. Yo, anytime you see Isaiah Whitlock in a Spike film, you know you're gonna get a shit scene. In some movies, it might go on for a long time. It's God damn, when is he going? When he's gonna stop and breathe? This is he plays Agent Flood, who then shows up in the next film, She Hate Me.
She Hate Me. For one, it's starring Anthony Mackie as the
pre-MCU
Anthony Mackie, pre a lot of things. Anthony Mackie,
pre-scandal Kerry Washington.
Oh, true, very true. And who else is in? A lot of people in this cast.
A lot of people in this movie.
Yeah. Jim Brown.
I love. The late great Jim Brown. I love Ellen Barkin.
Oh, and then Woody Harrelson. I forgot about that too. We're gonna talk about this.
Monica Bellucci. Ozzie Davis. Brian Dennehy. You get Paula Jai Parker, who's she's in black film. Everybody know Paula Jai Parker, especially if you watch what's the cartoon?
Boondocks.
No. Disney. Proud Family.
Oh, yeah.
He plays the mom.
Oh, okay.
Dania Ramirez, the great Q-Tip. One of my favorite MCs is in this joint.
Yeah, it's a stacked cast. And this
Chiwetel Ejiofor, he has a small role in this.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yo, see, this film, to me, another one I watched during the pandemic, it was on Showtime. It's not on Showtime anymore. It is not critically liked. A lot of people don't like it, but I personally think it's great.
Can I be honest with you? Mm-hmm. Before another Spike joint, this was probably at the bottom of my list.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really? There's again, interesting feelings. There's a lot of interesting things he does with this, but the story goes so many places.
And that's, I was going to say, the story is about this guy who's Anthony Mackie. He's working for this healthcare. I believe they're insurance or researchers, something, or biotech. They're biotech.
Yes.
They're researching medicine.
Progea is the name of the company.
Yes. But he gets fired because he's figuring out they're doing some shady stuff. So, like, kind of like in Girl 6, he ends up becoming like a sex worker.
Yeah.
Particularly to help women who are lesbians get pregnant.
Which was brought on to him by his ex-fiance, Fatima, who played by Kerry Washington. She wants to get pregnant, and because she goes ahead and successfully gets pregnant, she puts him onto a bunch of other lesbians, and there's issues with that too.
Yeah, you know, that's not the most.
Yeah, you know, it was definitely written with the male gaze. You know, it was like all these very beautiful lesbians getting their backs blown out by a brother. I can see the issues some would have with this film.
Yeah, I can see the issues,
and definitely mine was more so with the story because not again spiking his subplots. You get the Monica Bellucci character who's tied to the mob because her father is John Turturro, who's a mobster.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, the story just goes a bunch of different places. And one thing I hate. This is probably the worst thing I've ever seen Spike put on film. Love you, Spike. But that sperm scene with Anthony Mackie as the sperm, it's just embarrassing, dog. It's just...
He's like smiling. He's giving that like goofy Anthony Mackie face as he's like, really... No, Anthony Mackie, he used to be a serious actor. He was in 8 Mile. He used to be serious. But now he kind of got that goofy face that's he always doing on the red carpet. That was the first time he did it. And that is playing the sperm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But a lot of people loved it. The people that I wouldn't expect to like this film.
Yeah. I mean, I personally feel like it's just out there. Like, it's just the most experiment. Like, you would never see any other film like this in the marketplace ever. And I think I like the fact that, you know, people don't like whether or not you consider Spike Lee preachy or not. I think the quote unquote preachiness in this film, the whole anti-insurance company or anti-medical company,
which was a commentary on what was going on at the time with Enron and all that corporate scandal and all that. I like that.
That was great.
That was dope.
When it especially at the end when he's giving that speech, he's like trying to feed people. I'm like, yo, this is good.
That was dope.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the mob and this and that, it was just like, all right, you're doing a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. I just love too many scenes in this movie to like not like it. Like I talked about this before, but there's a scene where Anthony Mackie and I believe it was one of his homies, I forgot who he was riding with, but he was riding the bikes in the park.
Oh, that was his brother.
Yeah. And it just the camera just goes back and forth. Like, it's just, for one, it's like mostly on one shot. I don't know how they're following them, going on them bikes that quick, but it's like, it just keeps racking focus between the two, and then they'll cut back and forth
the music,
between them. Like, yo,
Terrence Blanchard. I love, again, interesting shit goes on. Even though I'm not a big fan of the film, there's interesting things that happen in it. You know?
This is really, I mean, I think it's one of the more underwatched ones.
Yes.
I really do hope that people go back to it eventually one day. Going back to how this is kind of a commentary on the business scammery of it. We didn't mention in 25th Hour how that movie was also touching on the scamminess of the Wall Street, right? With Barry Pepper's character. So it's like Spike is not unabashed with his critiques on
in the fuck you montage.
Yeah,
there's ADR where they cut into the guys making deals on the phone. It's like Enron, this and that. He's calling out the companies.
Yeah, it's good stuff, and I think we'll talk about it too. And like when we talk about Red Hook Summer, but he's not afraid to give you that real in the moment economic commentary that a lot of people talk about behind closed doors, but you just don't see represented in film because
it's gonna fuck with the money. Let's be real. If you start talking about corporate entity and cap, it fucks with the money.
Right.
Everybody's tied to some shit.
Right. Right.
But Spike's never afraid to go there.
Never afraid.
That's why we love him.
Yeah. So that's why she hates me. I get why people don't like it. I love this movie a lot, and I think there's a lot of good to take away from it. I almost wonder if this movie played out more of a TV show instead of a film, to kind of let all these subplots develop and maturate instead of.
You are onto something, my brother. Yeah. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah,
that's where it might work. Oh yeah, it could be a series.
I would love, because there's so much that happens. It's a very, like I said, plot heavy, so many subplots. But I would love to see it expanded and even given retool to something a little more. I guess the non-PC of it is really also what makes it hard for people to watch now. Like you mentioned, the lesbians.
Yeah.
Even in the day where we have artificial insemination, I just don't think that was that popular. early 2000s. But I think I would like to see a way that for maybe he's like a sperm donor or something instead of like actually having. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but this was to me. It's a great film though. To me, I like watching this movie.
Hey, my brother, this is why we having the conversation. Slept on joints. I might not care for it as much as he do, but this is why you got to talk about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So She Hate Me comes in 2004. Then we don't get another Spike film until
Inside Man. Looks like.
Well, yeah, 2 years later is Inside Man, which we don't. You already know Denzel Spike. You already know that was a success. That's actually his most successful film.
Box office wise, too,
yeah,
right?
That's his most successful film. But then the next one.
Miracle.
This is another one that definitely went under the radar. I remember this when this came out. Matter of fact, the day this came out was the day of the first presidential debate between Barack Obama and McClane.
Really?
What was his name? Not John.
John McClane. Yeah.
Is it?
John
McCain. I'm sorry, yo. John McClane is Bruce Willis in Die Hard. Clearly, I'm in my movie shit. John McCain. This was the day of the first presidential debate, and if you remember, my brother, Barack Obama becoming president, was on the verge of becoming president. This was like blockbuster. Everybody was home to watch this, except for me. I went to the movies to go see this that night, and I was in the movie theater with like 2 other people.
Oh, really? Oh, no. Oh, dang.
Miracle of St. Anna, which it's about Spike. This is on the heels of Clint Eastwood dropping Flag of Our Fathers and Letters of Iwo Jima, and he's like, yo, black folks was in these wars too. Where's the black representation?
Right.
He called out Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood. He needs to shut his face.
Right.
Old white man.
Talking to empty chairs at Republican conventions.
Fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Old ass. But, and this film, unfortunately, is best remembered for that little public spat. Miracle in St. Anna is about a man that's he's a Buffalo Soldier. He was in the war. Something happened. Something happened over it when he was away in Italy, and he sees the guy that he had this conflict with XYZ amount of years ago, and he kills him. And this kind of leads to the why. Why did he kill him? And I think this is another film that many people that I did not expect to appreciate this film. They love this, and it's a good film.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's one
very
of
strong.
Yeah, better war movies, I feel like. In recent times. Like you said, because it does address black soldiers during World War II, particularly in Italy. I mean, we've seen some Black Battalion movies since then, like Red Tails and stuff.
Yeah.
But this might be one of the first ones that I remember like addressing black people.
Yeah.
It does such a good job of showing you like, yeah, we really weren't welcomed into the military the way like a lot of other soldiers were. I mean, the generals are going a lot harder on them than they are on like other people.
And what sucked for a lot of black soldiers is that they were getting shit on both sides, because if you ever look at the propaganda that like the French and the Germany was putting out those posters, this is one of a big black beast looking like hugging one of the it's actually in the film, hugging one of the statues, and the whole thing was, these black men want to come and take your women. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How about this? There's the scene where they go into the ice cream parlor. Now, who's in this film? Michael Ealy, Derek Luke, Laz Alonso, Omar Benson. He was the big dude in 8 Mile.
Right. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You know what I mean?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
This is an early Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Before he popped off.
Yeah. Who else?
Amari Hardwick.
Oh yeah. Who else was in the main core of the guys though?
There was Omar Benson Miller. You mentioned.
I think I mentioned all of them.
Yeah.
There's a scene where they go to the ice cream parlor. They are on American soil. They can't get served the fucking ice cream. But who's fucking eating ice cream? The prisoners caught, the German prisoners caught by, by the nearby.
Yeah.
And then they leave the ice cream parlor and they're like, what the fuck? Doubled back and came with the guns and was like, nah, like, yo, I want my shit. I love that scene. But yeah, this is real. A lot of this shit was real. That opening battle sequence, Michael K. Williams is in that.
Yeah, true.
Where they a lot of them guys get killed. This film was shot so well. And then the heartbreaking scene of what you see, that massacre that happened on the Italian people.
Right.
That was sad.
Yeah.
Watching that in theater, like, whew. I saw that 2 times in theaters. Yeah.
It's a Miracle?
Yeah, I took a friend to go see it the second time. I was like, girl, you need to watch this shit. Like, this is good. Yeah, it was a good film, man.
No, it's a genuinely like powerful war movie that touches on both the war itself, but the PTSD of it. And it's kind of in the same way that, we'll see later in the Five Bloods, kind of addressing that kind of war topic as well. But yeah, this film was, I think it was one of the best, one of the better, like I said, war movies that came out recently. And I also think just representing how benign our soldiers were during that time. I'm trying to think. There was some other scenes that kind of like moved me too. I haven't watched this movie in a cool minute, if I'm being honest. But all the interrogations that they were having in like the modern times, like with the detective John Turturro was one of the detectives, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he? No, I know Joseph Gordon-Levitt was.
Yeah. And then
Turturro, was he in this film?
Yeah, I think he was Detective Tony or something like that. Or I don't know. I could be.
Oh yes. He came onto the scene after the murder.
Yeah.
You know who's in it? Quickly, Coleman Domingo plays a Jamaican man in the post office.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh, I did not.
With a bad Jamaican accent. A bumble clot. Yes, some postal stamps, please. Bumble clot. Yeah, he's in it real quick.
Yeah. Nah, this is good, man. I mean, I feel like there's definitely references in this film to like Saving Private Ryan.
Oh yeah, especially that opening scene. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then, but Spike Lee's he's just a student of film, so it's just it digs into so many other timeless. Obviously, Deer Hunter when it comes to like representing the conversations and like the struggle of like readjusting afterwards. It's a great film. It's just overall an amazing flick, and I think it lays the groundwork for a lot of other black-centric war movies that we see later on.
The other films that I think he's clearly inspired by. There's a scene where Lance Alonso is watching an old war film. It's like we were there too. Those war films, which Spike talks about in the Crooklyn, they were all watching a old war film. That's stuff that they used to watch. You know what I'm saying? So all of that you can see the inspiration through all of that.
Yeah, it's a good one. I really recommend people go back.
But this one did not. People just ignored this one largely. And a lot of white people. Let's be real. A lot of white people was upset about how he even came at Clint Eastwood, because how dare you criticize the establishment? You know what I'm saying? But it's like dead ass. It's like, there was black soldiers in these wars. Where the fuck are they in these films? Where are they?
Right.
And Clint Eastwood make it seem like he was bothering him for even asking that question. But that's what they do.
Right.
They could get us out there like, fuck them motherfuckers.
That's why I'm again, people are clowning on that Oppenheimer take, but it's like you got to represent everybody in the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it can't just be the white guys. You can't be a white filmmaker and only make the movies about the white guys.
Yeah.
You can, but somebody gonna say something eventually. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? No disrespect.
Absolutely. But, so that came out.
08.
That was 08. Yeah, so then we got a good little break in Spike Lee joints for a while. He was doing a bunch of other things.
Documentaries. I will say in the documentary tips you mentioned Four Little Girls. He also did another one for HBO, If God Is Willing and the Creek Don't Rise,
which was a follow-up to When the Levees Broke. Amazing.
Right, both about the Hurricane Katrina. Man, so real. I mean, just so real and so raw, and taking the camera and to places and getting conversations that were not being talked about during that time, especially post Katrina. So
absolutely, but in 2012, it's so funny. When I came to record the pod, RB was already watching it.
Yeah,
Red Hook Summer.
Yeah.
Which this might be my worst Spike Lee joint.
Really,
personally.
I feel that. I understand that. I mean, I like this movie a lot. I think it's one of the better written movies that Spike has put out. But I think you're gonna mention probably your critiques with it, and I think like probably the overall critique with it might be just the child acting.
Oh yeah, that wasn't good.
Yeah, that's just the one thing that's like, it's centric on the kids, and they're just not like, they're not delivering it the way. But again, they're kid actors, so I personally look at it like, they're kids, whatever.
There's just some scenes that's like, oh my god, end the scene already. Yeah, call cut already. God damn.
He wasn't convinced by Homegirl about to jump over.
No, that's one of them scenes that should have been called. Scratch your mind, make your black booty shine. It's like, who the fuck? What the hell is going on? Well, Red Hook Summer is about a kid named Flick who comes up from Atlanta, Georgia. His mom drops him off with his grandfather to spend the summer in Red Hook, Brooklyn. We don't know why I remember when I went to go see this opening night at BAM once again. Spike was there to screen the film and did a Q&A afterwards. And the first question asked was, something happens in the film. And the mother clearly knows this happened. Why would she drop him off?
Right.
With the grandfather.
Right.
You know, there's little things like that. It's just kind of like, and you know, for me personally, it's funny. I wrote a review for this film years ago for Hot 97. And I liked it at the time because, again, I knew the interesting things he was doing in the film. I got it.
Yeah.
But with time, it was just kind of like, you know, some of the things kind of, you know, I say it's his worst film, but it doesn't mean it's a bad film.
No, it's definitely not. I think when I was mentioning
it's his worst because my standards
is up there.
Is up
super
here,
high.
You know,
as they should be. For me, like I definitely you when we were watching the film, you pointed out some of the specific shots. I didn't even like notice some of the brilliance of it, like one shot where the main homie was like looking and then the cross was in his eyes.
the great Clark Peters. You know, something happens. You know, I really want y'all to see this film if you can find it. It's on Tubi.
It's on Tubi, yes.
It's on Tubi. There's a scene in the film where something is revealed and he's kind of talking. He's like praying, and like when he's looking up, the cross that's on the ceiling is reflecting into his eyes. Cold. Cold. There's a scene after it where he gets confronted by Nate Parker.
Who's one of the gangsters?
One of the gangsters in the neighborhood.
Bloods,
and that's, you know, Bloods, the way the Bloods was portrayed in this, it was like West Side Story with the Bloods, you know. His are white and red. You know, I was just waiting for them to do a little number like with the Bloods. You know, because that's just how they look. They just look cartoonish.
They're a little old to be blooded too. Like.
Even that type of blood portrayal is like, what? Like, he actually looks like a very well put together blood. Nate Parker.
No face tattoos in that. That's crazy.
Where's the Cincinnati Reds hat? I don't, you know. But when he confronts Clark Peters and that scene and how that scene plays out to the great Edwin Hawkins singer, Jesus Lover of My Soul. Amazing use of music as that scene is playing out. I think that's what made me like the film so much at the time. Just that section of the film.
Right. It's mostly the ending.
But then when you watch the film, it's kind of just wandering off until it gets to that.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is happening, that's happening, and then boom, this happens and just goes left. And that's where the film doesn't work for me. But I know you really like it.
Yeah, I really like it because I feel like the conversations are some of the strongest conversations in the Spike Lee movie, especially like of recently. There's that scene where our main pastor, he's talking to
Clark Peters,
Clark Peters. He's talking to young lady who's the mother of Chaz, if I'm not mistaken, and they're kind of talking about like, like, you know, Obama was just elected president. We thought he was going to save us from all this. We thought, we have the first black president, but we have to save ourselves, like and then it kind of goes into that, and then he's like, and she's like, oh, you know, your father used to teach you all this about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, like and he's like, oh, my father just didn't really love me. Like it goes real deep onto like what for one, just the climate. There's also the drunk pastor, the drunk bishop, who is like
the late great Thomas Jefferson Byrd.
Once again, he's like, I told them niggas to sell. Like,
sell. Yeah.
He's like, oh, GM was 75 cents a share, now it's $30-something. And he's getting into like, they bailed out Wall Street, but they didn't bail out the people. I'm like, yo, this is deep. Like they're really preaching. There's no other movie that like even touches on that conversation.
I'm gonna be real with you. If it wasn't a Spike Lee joint, I would love it.
That's what I was thinking that when I was watching. I'm like, yo, if this is just an indie filmmaker's like first film,
it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But we talking about the director that made Malcolm X,
right?
Do the Right Thing. Like my standards for him was high then. I know he self-financed his film. He did everything himself, so it was very shoestring budget. I get it, but it just the quality. You get good quality. Let me not say the quality is bad. It's just. The film just kind of, like I said, the way there's moments in it that's great, but then it wanders off until it gets to where it wants to go. You know what I'm saying? Also, some of the directing, and I love Spike, I love you. I'm not trying to say you ain't good at what you do. But clearly he hired stage actors because in the delivery of the lines, my daughter Chaz.
Yeah,
sister, I'm in the theater. You don't have to be. I'm not in the balcony. You don't have to yell out to me. You know what I'm saying? I could tell there's a lot of stage actors in this film just because of the way the delivery of the lines. So it's just a lot of things that is nitpicky. Maybe it's nitpicky for me. You get Mookie comes back.
He does for that brief cameo in the beginning.
Nola comes back.
Yeah,
Nola is saved and she's preaching in the street. Tracy Camilla John. So it was, and this was also where Spike, in his interviews, he established that he does the Chronicles of Brooklyn, which is like Spike's own MCU universe type situation, which makes sense because if you look at certain films, like you see the cops that put the gun to Flipper in Jungle Fever, it's the same cops from Do the Right Thing. Clockers, everybody's drinking the bomb, and the bomb becomes a thing. Bamboozled has an incredible scene where it's the bomb commercial. The bomb, baby, bomb. It's a lot of things. Some of the little seeds, that he puts in other films. He said that this film basically was like also part of that Chronicles of Brooklyn, which this is why Mookie is in it and Nola is in it. It's a little, it's a little heavy-handed to put Mookie and Nola in the same film, but I get it. You know what I'm saying?
I loved it. I thought it was great. By the way, one of the people doing the music was actually John Baptiste. Yes. If I'm not mistaken, he just won an Oscar for Soul recently. Which
brings us to our next film, The Sweet Blood of Jesus, which follows this almost immediately after whatever happens in Red Hook Summer. And this film is special for me because this is the first film I ever worked on.
Yeah.
And I'm in it.
I was gonna say you're in that cameo.
I'm in it. Hey, go back. Hey, if you can find The Sweet Blood of Jesus, go towards the end. Mr. Marin is right there front and center. I'm in the pew in the church. You know what I'm saying? Thomas Jefferson Byrd up there. The great Valerie Simpson on the thing. John Baptiste is in that. I believe he's in that film too.
Yeah.
Raphael Sadiq is definitely in it. I was there. I was there for all of that. So I got to see that film.
You saw the iconic dolly shot, right?
Oh yeah. Let me give you a quick little story. I know this is a long episode, but fuck it, we talking about Spike Lee. This is we gonna give him his flowers. So I'm sitting there in the church. First of all, we're shooting in Central Park one day, and Spike is walking through the set, and he points to me. He's like, Marin, on Friday, come wearing your Sunday's best. And it keeps moving. Oh, shit. So I was just like, huh? Like, what does this mean? Right. And I went home to my mom. I was like, yeah, he said wear your Sunday's best. And my mom was like, that means like you're going to church. I'm like, oh, because I didn't see the call sheet or nothing like this. I didn't know where we was shooting the next day. And then I show up in my church, in my suit and stuff. I didn't have a tie at the time. And shout out to Miss Ruth Carter. Oh, the great Ruth Carter, who won Oscars for Black Panther and stuff like that. She was on that film. And the genius that she is, she ended up finding a perfect tie that matched everything I was wearing. She's like, hold on, stay right here. She goes through the wardrobe and finds this tie that matches what I was wearing, like exactly. So I was ready. We shot in Red Hook, the same church as Red Hook Summer, and Thomas Jefferson Byrd, the late great Thomas Jefferson Byrd, played the same character from Red Hook Summer, and he was preaching. He was now the preacher of the church, the pastor of the church. And I remember just sitting there in the pews. We shot 2 scenes in one day. It was because the movie opens up in the church.
Yes.
We shot that was the first thing we shot where I was not really in camera in view. But for the last scene in the church, Spike specifically like, Marin, sit right there. I was like, why do you do that? You know what I'm saying? I'm up front. Why do you do that? So I remember I'm sitting there, we getting ready to shoot, and the AD, my man Big Mike Ellis, the legend, he's yelling, all right, y'all are extras. Don't nobody do nothing extra for the camera. You were supposed to just look forward. You clap. That's it. Nobody do nothing extra. So I'm scared straight. I'm like, my ass ain't looking around. I don't want to look directly into the camera. But while they were setting up, I took a quick little peek. And I seen, what's the name of the brother that plays the lead? Stephen Tyrone.
Yeah.
In The Sweet Blood. Go down.
Yeah.
Go down.
Yeah.
I just saw the poster. Keep going, because we still on Red Hook.
Yeah. You're right. I'm gonna go right. Yeah, my bad.
There you go. Now you got it.
This is right here. There
Sweet
we go.
Blood.
Yeah.
Stephen Tyrone Jackson is his name.
Williams.
Stephen Tyrone Williams. He was the lead. He played Hess Green, which, if you don't know, Sweet Blood of Jesus is basically a remake of Ganja and Hess.
Yes, from 1973.
Yeah. So that film is about addiction. they call it vampire, but I feel like the vampire side of it was really a metaphor for just addiction.
Yeah, or like I particularly took it as like STDs. When I watched it, because I feel like he just goes around from person to person, just kind of like, low key. I thought initially he was just killing people. Like, oh shoot, he's killing. Like he goes to that one woman who like got the baby, and just randomly is like, oh, you want to go upstairs? And she's like, yeah, sure. And then she lays up all bloody, but she comes back. She's alive eventually later, but she low key might have like eaten her kid, like, or bit.
Which is crazy because I remember we was on set. Motherfuckers, one of the prop guys was walking around with this baby on him. It was like, oh, what the hell is that? The form. Oh. One thing, when we were shooting the movie, we did not know what we were shooting. It was called the Spike Lee Fall Project.
No, really? Yeah.
Nobody knew what we were shooting. If you weren't on the set for specific scenes, I didn't know what was going on. My first scene, very first scene we shot was in the now gone Frank's Cafe with Snoop from The Wire playing the prostitute when he picks her up at the bar. That's the very first day of set. There's a little nugget there. But what was I talking about? What was I getting to? Oh, Steven Tyrone Williams. I'm in the church. We setting up for a shot. And I turn around and I see the dolly. I said, oh shit, this is the famous dolly shot. I'm witnessing it. This is my first film. Spike is my idol. Oh, and this is the very first thing I see. This is what I see, for the first time. It was an amazing experience. Amazing experience. Shout out to everybody that was on that set. Penny, Lionel, Big Mike Ellis, Earl Smith. Shout out to everybody I met there. This literally started my career in film and production. So The Sweet Blood of Jesus has a sweet spot in my heart. Now, I don't know what the film is about. Because I know what it's about, but it just kind of, I didn't know how I felt at the time because it was just like, it's so weird. It's such a weird film. Oh, shout out to Rami Malek.
Yes.
Academy Award. Yes, Academy Award winning Rami Malek. He was just a struggling actor at the time, y'all. And he was just around us. You know what I'm saying? I got to meet and talk to my man, Thomas Jefferson Bird. I got to talk to him about Errol Bond in Clockers. I was like,
oh yeah.
And I remember he was just like, yo, kids were afraid of me.
Yeah.
He's like, kids they come around, they didn't like seeing me, Zara, go up real quick. Zara Abrams.
Yeah.
She, English, beautiful woman, nice woman too, English actress.
She has a crazy monologue, like kind of halfway through it. And she's kind of like to learn like life history.
Yeah, this was the Kickstarter joint, y'all. That's how I got on this project. I donated to Kickstarter. I attended a boot camp to learn how to work in film, and they liked me, and it was like, yo, we want you to work on this for the week.
Right.
I worked a week in Brooklyn.
Yeah. And that's an incredible story. Like, I feel like, like getting a chance to work with one of the most iconic filmmakers of all time, one of your favorites, and then just being able to get that, through actually helping the production get made. You know what I mean? Like that
was such an eye opener, dog. Like that, like I said, that was a great shoot. Great shoot. Again, the movie itself is like, it's an odd film.
It's an odd film. I like it. Again, I'm gonna say I like all these movies. You know what I mean? But I like this.
We like all of them. It's just we might have different thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. I like this movie a lot because it's not a horror film. You know what I mean? It's a vampire movie, but not a horror movie. It's really just a straight up drama, honestly. And going back to that STD point, like, he's kind of unwillingly, turning people into vampires, like as they're going and kind of passing along. I think when he and obviously they're not like consenting to it, but then when they consent to being turned vampires, but then when he kind of goes to church and it's kind of like having that like reevaluating moment, like, oh shoot, like maybe I did mess up. He's like looking for forgiveness. That's why I kind of took it as him like dying at the end, because he's like, all right, like, I passed this vampire thing on to enough people. Like it's time for me to just like starve myself, essentially. So like that was my way of reading it. But I also just appreciated that it wasn't it was just a straight up drama. You know what I mean? Like it was a sex filled drama, of course. There's like a lot of sex scenes in it. And obviously ganja, I don't want to spoil the end of the film, but there's something that happens at the end, you're like, oh shoot, like, okay, this is
the rap right. The wrap around is a character comes back around.
You're like, whoa, what the heck? But it's an amazing film. And I know Guillermo del Toro tweeted about it recently.
Really?
Well, not this film. I'm sorry. He tweeted about this Hitchcock movie called Shadow of a Doubt.
Yes.
It came out like 1943.
Yes.
And that movie is my favorite Hitchcock movie because it's a low key a vampire movie, but never says the word vampire, like ever mentions it. It's just the guy who plays Uncle Charlie, like. You never see him in a mirror. He is like kind of a bloodlust kind of dude, and you never catch him in a photograph or anything. So they like imply he's a vampire without saying it. I think that's like the same lane that like this movie occupies. It's like the vampire human drama of it, but like never like going too over the top of like trying to scare you or trying to and just bringing the parallels between the blood of Jesus to the blood of the flesh versus like the blood of like actually eating people. super interesting.
I remember the first time I seen the name of this film.
The Sweet Blood of Jesus.
D-A, Sweet Blood of Jesus. I was like, oh my God, what a title.
Yeah, this is I definitely, you could also peep this one on Tubi or if you got BET Plus. So
okay,
I peeped this on BET Plus, but I would say people should watch it if you're into like, it's not even elevated horror. It's not even A24 horror or anything like that. It's just really.
It is a form of elevated horror though, in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
In a sense,
like,
yeah.
It is in a sense. It speaks to societal issues through, you know, the act of vampirism. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting. It's weird. Interesting is a very odd film in Spike's canon.
Yeah.
But it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
For sure. Another film that comes after this, you know, Chirac.
Yeah.
Now, this film got killed by a lot of people. Because, you know, the film name Chirac, you know, the negative connotation that comes with Chirac. And the story is about, you know, a woman, which is based on Greek mythology. The women, Lysistrata, withholding sex from men in Southside Chicago so the gang wars could stop. The people of Chicago was not too happy about that. People of Chicago did not like the name Chirac. But if motherfuckers just watch the film,
right,
you see that there's people in the film that don't like the name Chirac, and Chirac is the name of the rapper played by Nick Cannon.
Great performance by Nick Cannon.
Which very surprising, very surprising. And so it's like, just give the movie a chance, man. Stop. Yeah. Everybody was just, you know, and people from Chicago, you know, all them rappers went public. Chance the Rapper, corny ass, was out there trying to shit on it. Vic Mensa was in the film. He was shitting on it. Rhymefest.
Vic Mensa was in the movie.
Yeah, in the film. Yeah.
And he just,
I just come to think a lot of the people in Chicago was opportunists. I think everybody saw a check and they wanted to be down with something. And then when people started to hate on it was like, oh, I want to hate on it too.
Right.
That's how I see it. Rhymefest, who did a whole public campaign trying to tell people to not fuck with the movie, but was telling people Spike to give money to Chicago for this. So it's like, bro, like what?
But they filmed in Chicago, so like
hired all of the crew was in Chicago.
Right.
It created jobs for the city. All right, you don't like the movie, cool. You don't have to like the movie, but this is not, some people was just shitting on it and didn't even see it.
Yeah, because if you saw it, it really is, like you mentioned, people don't love the word Chirac.
Yeah.
People should also realize it is a satire. Like, this is one of the most satirical films he put out, which I get it. You don't want to make a satire about Chicago if you don't want to. But I think, you know, you mentioned it before, Black people, we got to laugh at our pain. You know what I mean? You got to and sometimes to get the message across, like, we got
to laugh to keep from crying. Yeah. That's just us being Black. I mean, we look at the shit we laugh at. We laugh at, you know, jokes of people being broke and stuff like that because, you know, because of systemic racism and a lot of people are forced into some situations. So we gotta laugh at it sometimes. Not laugh at them, but laugh at the situation. Like, you know. And then
it laughs, but this is also a very serious movie. Like, we lose a lot of key characters throughout the film that we meet throughout it. By the way, Tiana Paris, I literally had the biggest crush on Tiana Paris.
Oh, yeah.
Like, after I watched this film, I'm like,
beautiful sister, Miss Tiana Paris.
Yeah.
She was so fun. This is the first time I think this is she was in Dear White People, but I didn't realize. This was the first time I was like, oh, that's her. So she's tough.
Yeah, no, she's a great actress and mad beautiful. But then also John Cusack with that opening church sequence, just kind of going in on the consequences of gun violence. For one, also I love this. F everybody who doesn't like this movie, bro. I've seen this movie so many times. You mentioned Spike has always wanted to make a musical. This is a musical movie, like super musical. Yeah. And I love the songs in it. I love
everything is in rhyme. It's just like the Greek play. Everything is in rhyme, so it's almost like a soft musical.
I took it as like straight up musical. You know what I mean?
And I'm sorry if you like School Days. And you like that good or bad hair sequence. This is basically the same thing.
Taken to the extreme, right? The opening when like they're at the show performing, and then that shootout happens, and it's literally people like texting or live tweeting like as it's happening, like, oh, this is happening.
It's a direct commentary on the culture and society.
The
desensitization of murder and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? This was. I feel like it was a nice effort. I liked the film. I saw this film a lot too, especially when it came out. I was at the premiere in Chicago. I saw it premiere in New York. I saw it again in theaters. I took people to go see it
too. And it was one of the first Amazon Prime originals.
I think it was the first.
I think
it was the first Amazon original film. It was in theaters and on Amazon at the same time, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it came on Amazon just a little bit later. I think they tried the theatrical thing.
Yeah.
But this was great. And I feel like he was really trying to get back into that do the right thing, like epic bag, especially with Samuel L. Jackson. With the narration.
This was like vintage Spike. It's just that people was letting the conversation alter how they feel about the film.
Yeah, but I really do hope people go back and rewatch it.
But you can't take shit like that serious when some of the same people from Chicago are saying, you know how this movie would be better if Quentin Tarantino did it. Oh, so you rather watch blood spewing all over the place, black people killing each other, the white man call action on that shit. You rather watch that. You know, like I said, you don't have to. I'm not saying because Spike did it, you gotta love it. But you gotta look at some of your criticism like, come on, are you being dead ass?
Right.
I think the person that said it was Frito Santana who ended up being murdered from gun violence.
Really?
I believe.
Yikes.
Either drugs or gun violence, but he was one of them Chicago drill rappers.
And I love
I'm sorry to cut you off. And you can't talk about making Chicago look bad and y'all let DJ Academics have a fucking career.
That's
He's the one that put that shit on the map.
They had a whole channel called War on Chirac. Like,
come on.
About that.
So where's your anger? Where's your anger?
Misdirected.
Come on.
And that's why, again, I really do feel like if people in Chicago watch this movie, it's a real loving and endorsement of ending this stuff. You know what I mean? When they lock up that whole military base and got the weapons, that's goofy, but it's like, we somebody has to take a stand. You know? What I mean?
There's one scene that I don't like, and I remember I didn't like it the first.
When she was
time.
seducing the white guy.
That scene goes on for too long. And it's cringe. It's a very cringe scene. It stars my man from the Warriors.
David Patrick Kelly.
Come out, come out and play him. He plays there's a Confederate flag somewhere. It's just, I get what he was trying to do, but that one was cringy. You know, but Angela Bassett is actually playing all of Chicago by saying that she's denouncing Chirac. She lost a daughter. She's denouncing the name Chirac. You know what I'm saying? Like, watch the fucking movie. A lot of your concerns are addressed in the film.
Exactly. The fact that Rick Fox is coming to her trying to sell her life insurance.
Oh, not Rick Fox.
Oh, but that's Roger
Guinevere Smith.
Roger Guinevere Smith. That's right.
Rick Fox isn't He Got Game. He's not in this fight.
That's right. You're right. I'm bugging.
You good.
But man, it's one. I just love this movie, man. I think people should go back. It's on Amazon to stream. So
it's been there forever.
Yeah, it's been there. But y'all got to see that this came from a genuine place.
Yeah.
And I think it's a genuine classic piece of filmmaking, like one of Spike's better ones. And Teyonah Parris, Nick Cannon, like he has even like one scene where he's like kind of like even by himself. I think he's like in the kitchen or something. It's like after an argument him and Teyonah Parris had or whatever, and he's just kind of sitting there. Like I think it's a split screen, and they're kind of like having each their own moment. There's so many good moments in this film, bro. Like Spike was really pushing the edge with the filmmaking with this, and I think we should appreciate
absolutely
the color, how the goofy colors, like how one, like the house that I think his colors were purple or whatever,
purple.
And like all of his house was like purple. And the production design.
It's elevated in a sense. It's just it's clearly not real life, but it deals with real life issues.
Yes.
And shout out to Jay Washington. He's in this film.
He is, yeah, Jay Washington. Yeah, that's right.
Shout out to our guy, Jay Washington.
Yeah, he's a Cyclops. One of the Cyclops homie, Wesley Snipes, if I'm not mistaken.
And then you know, after this, you know, Spike gets back in good graces with audiences, with Black Klansmen, you know, the Five Bloods. And, you know, he has his HBO doc on the pandemic and 9/11. Has the She's Gotta Have It show that was on Netflix. But those films we just discussed are really the ones that were more divisive.
Yeah.
People really was just like, you know, this is why people's like, oh, he hasn't made anything great in years, because they just ignored a lot of his stuff. And it's stuff that the critics might not like, or like I said, it's divisive. It's very mixed reactions to it. But they're all gems. They're all gems.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
I think if you go, like, if a film heads, film scholars, if y'all watching this and y'all go back and rewatch all of these movies, you'll come out as a much richer filmmaker than just watching the ones that Spike Lee, you know, the ones that are the quintessential Spikes, the Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X. Like,
and you know what? Again, going back to the Prince and Spike thing, a lot of people say, you know, Prince's peak ain't the 80s. His commercial peak is the 80s. But talent-wise, that's not his peak. And you can say that. He got better as a musician as years go by. As a filmmaker, Spike got better with these films we just mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
There was definitely moments that was strong, that you could tell the writing was stronger than stuff he did before, or the way he shot things. He evolved as a filmmaker. He grew as a filmmaker. And what I love most about Spike is that he's going to give it to you the way he want to give it to you. And if you don't like it, cool. If you like it, cool too. He's not afraid to fail. Unlike some filmmakers who rather make 8, 9, 10 films. Because they want to create, they want their little streak to be, you know, perfect. Everybody loves my shit. Right. I'm only give you 5 because that's it. I'm gonna make them, 10 years apart from each other. Just so I'm gonna wait for y'all to get thirsty. So when my next one comes out, you have no choice but to love it, even though it's whack. You have no choice but to love it because
Again, that to me is the exact reason why Spike is always gonna be a little bit higher on my best directors list than Tarantino. He's gonna be better. He's gonna be higher than a lot of these other filmmakers. I think in the same way that I'm comparing GOATs at this point, you know what I mean? Same way that Spielberg, still in his 80s, making movies. Scorsese, still in his 80s, not afraid to fail. I would love to see Spike continue to add that lane because to me, he's in that same conversation. A great all-time American filmmaker.
But see, where it's different with Scorsese is that Scorsese, the establishment trusts Scorsese. They'll give Scorsese $100 million for
$200 million
for an Irishman to do de-aging and all that because they trust him. I feel like Spike has been on the necks of people in the industry. I tell you all the time, Bamboozled was the kiss of death for him because he exposed so much that they were like, "Oh, we gonna give this motherfucker a hard time. He want to make a film, we gonna give him a hard time. We gonna make sure he don't get shit funded. He's been trying to make that Joe Lewis film for the longest, and they just would not give it to him.
Wow,
you know what I'm saying? So he settles on these other stories, and he does amazing work. But it's like once you piss off the establishment, the Malcolm X funding part, I think that really pissed off the industry. Saying, "Oh, you're gonna end my film? Oh, I'm gonna go talk to some affluent black folks, and we're gonna get this film made." And it comes out,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like Scorsese got it easier because he is who he is.
Yeah,
I love Scorsese, but he's a white man.
You're right. Spielberg's a white man. So it's never
Spike is an auteur just like Scorsese, Spielberg, George Lucas, and all of them. And why is it hard for him to get a film made?
I just don't understand it. I don't get it. And it's crazy because even something like Black Klansman doesn't really get funded unless like the Jordan Peele name was behind it.
Exactly. Same thing for Inside Man. Brian Grazer doesn't come and say, "Hey, I want to produce this." Is it going to get made? The film was his most successful and he wanted a sequel. And they said no.
Meanwhile, Scorsese put out The Departed, and they were like begging for a sequel for that one. Like
he's like, nah.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Shout out to Scorsese too. He's been, he's still on his Marvel ain't cinema shit. He's talking about the business, and he's right on some of the shit he's saying. I can't wait to see Killers of the Flower Moon.
I can't wait for that either.
We love Scorsese over here.
And I also love like watching behind the scenes or like director's commentary on Spike stuff and seeing randomly Scorsese just shows up. Behind the scenes, especially like what's Scorsese doing here?
Let me tell you film bros something. You might not fuck with it. You might not see the vision, but guess what? Spike got the respect of all the people you love. They are eating from his bowl. A lot of them respect him.
Like I mentioned, Wes Anderson literally said, like, inspiration.
What's my man? My man that made Parasite.
Oh, Bong Joon-ho.
He won his Oscar. Spike presented it, and he said that he learned English watching Spike Lee joints. Do you know what I'm saying? So some of the people that you love and you want to dunk on Spike by mentioning, they eat from his hand. So let's show some reverence for the brother, okay? Let's stop lying to yourself. He's one of the greatest. He's my greatest filmmaker of all time because he just speaks to me. He's his lens, his voice, it speaks to me. So that's my personal GOAT. He's going to be in the conversation. When he goes, the day he goes, Spike is going to be, he's going to be revered. All them films is in the Library of Congress. You don't get that type of reference being a whack filmmaker or just a mediocre filmmaker. So stop lying to yourselves. His films have nutritional value outside of seeing the movie. When you go see Do the Right Thing, you see what's happening. Then you see what happens to Eric Garner. You see the conversations of gentrification, all that stuff. That is in those films. He opens up Malcolm X with the Rodney King thing. That was fresh on the minds of Americans at the time. Matter of fact, when he was screening the film for Terry Semel at Warner Brothers, the fucking riots was happening right outside of Burbank. So stop it. Stop with this. Stop trying to bury my mans. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't the one. Stop it. Stop it. Just because he black. And what some white boy told me after the Quentin Tarantino thing. Oh, his hypothetical race arguments. Your ignorant ass don't know what it is to deal with racism. So you don't see the stuff that he's talking about because you are living in your lily white lens. You know what I'm saying? You living through the rose colored shades that America gave to you. So you will never know the shit that he's talking about. If that's hypothetical race arguments, this shit is happening. Right. This shit is happening. Meanwhile, y'all's telling me that other shit is better. This was just cool. You could like other shit, but some of these other shits you can't talk about in real life. You can only talk about them as entertainment.
That's why, again, Bamboozled, even Black Klansman, like that movie, the ending sequence to that movie, it's a mostly funny comedic movie.
Joe,
yeah, that end sequence.
The shit ends with Charlottesville. These are good people. You get to see David Duke, the same guy that's in the film, who gets finessed because he's a jackass. He was running for president. Yeah. Like in the 90s at some point.
And endorsing Trump during that time. So.
You want to talk about real shit? Look at a Spike Lee joint. You want to look at America unfiltered? Look at a Spike Lee joint. This is not a man just creating these arguments because he's an angry black man. Sure, he's an angry black man, but look at the shit we got to deal with.
I'll be angry too. I'm angry right now. You know what I mean?
You feel me?
Yeah.
You see, I'm getting riled up because like, yo, son, like this is the shit we live through. You might, and I'm not saying you have to like everything. Art is to be critiqued. You don't have to love everything. But let's not try to act like shit ain't what it is. And then try to paint him as this one-note filmmaker. He is not. Your man's might be. He ain't.
Right.
And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, that's the way ending, bro. You know what I mean?
Episode 14, man.
Spike Lee, underrated joints. I'm gonna make sure I put links in the description for all these films. And again, check out some of these documentaries because, like you mentioned, got that 9/11 one that was dope. He had that David Byrne one that on HBO that just came out recently. American Utopia. He also has a one-man stand-up show with Mike Tyson.
Oh yes, I saw that live.
Yeah. Oh, you saw it live.
I saw that live. Undisputed Truth.
Yeah.
I saw that live. He got the one-man joint with Roger Green and Ford Smith playing Huey P. Newton. That came like around the time of Bamboozled. He shot it in the same kind of camera.
Interesting.
Yo, listen, my man, he got joints, man.
And he had another one that was even Gerard Carmichael. He has a Gerard Carmichael stand-up special. It's absolutely great too. So all these documentary work, A-list, movies, A-list. She got to have it as a TV show. Also A-list material.
Season 2 didn't work for me, but season 1 was good.
Yeah, I don't know if I got to season 2 if I'm being honest, but
season 2 didn't work. It didn't work as well. I think he was trying to do a lot. I think he wanted to he wants to do a musical bad as hell. So there's a lot of musical elements in it. It just got a little,
It's funny because I think Dear White People, the TV show, also had a musical episode.
Yes.
Which that one also kind of tuned me out.
Yep.
Interesting stuff.
But yo, listen, man. Again, we could talk on and on about Spike. If we had a real one's Hall of Fame, he is the first inductee.
Oh, for sure.
The godfather of modern black cinema. He paved the way. All your favorite black filmmakers, after him, he's the one.
Yep.
John Singleton, he's the one. Shit, even Tyler Perry.
Yeah. I know they had their beefs, but
it wasn't even a beef, really.
Right.
It was real criticism about the art that the media gassed it, But there ain't no beef. Them two brothers, they respect each other. There's a soundstage in Tyler Perry Studios named after Spike Lee.
I did see that, yeah.
So, it's all love. Listen, man. Just like, the comment he made about Oppenheimer, recently. It's all love. It's art. We can critique everything. You know what I'm saying? It's all love. Let's just keep it at the art. Again, we could do multiple episodes on Spike Lee, but I really want him to hone in on his slept-on joints because I feel like these are the joints that don't get the proper shine.
Absolutely.
Long episode. This is probably our longest episode, but listen, man, we two Spike Lee enthusiasts. You see me with the X Cap. You see me with the We Want on 40 Acres T. You see my man with the Mars Blackman. We love Spike, man. We love Spike, and we will always champion Spike. I'm forever fighting for Spike. I'll be in the comments, okay?
Yeah.
I'm fighting for Spike because he's a genuine dude, a real dude, great filmmaker. One of one.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing else to say other than watch these movies and just, and don't hop on some reactionary, Spike doesn't know how to watch Oppenheimer. Like, nah, we're talking about one of the GOATs. Y'all got to acknowledge that conversation.
Respecting.
Right.
Respect the shooter. Spike Lee's the shooter. Episode 14, man. RB. We did this
my one, but we touched on a lot of good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're gonna get a lot of good material out of this one.
Yeah. And then next week we're probably gonna get a lot of good material too.
Yes.
Because we're gonna be talking about black horror.
Yes, black horror, especially, we're gonna talk about the history of black horror, but we definitely gonna talk about millennials, us from our generation, So we talking about the Tales from the Hoods, the Candyman.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. Shout out to Jada Pinkett. I know, girl. I know we had some issues, but we good now. Girl.
She was in one movie that we had mentioned today. I totally forgot. One of the Spike joints. I forgot.
Bamboozled.
Bamboozled. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
Bamboozled.
Right.
She's in Bamboozled. She plays Sloane Hopkins, who's Mos Def's sister.
Right.
That some shit happens between her and Pierre. Listen, y'all gotta see Bamboozled, man. Go to Criterion Channel. It's on there. Go buy. Matter of fact, just go buy the Blu-ray. Just go buy it.
Yeah. On the physical.
Trust me, you will love it.
Yeah.
Trust me.
That's, man, what a range. Some films on Criterion, some films on Tubi. Spike Lee,
come on, man.
What I mean?
Come on, man. The range is crazy. It's crazy. But this has been episode 14. Again, I am your man, Mr. Marin. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at MrMarinKnows, MrMarinKnows. You can also check us out on Real Cut MO.
First cut.
Sorry,
First
I'm
cut
so sorry.
TMO. First cut
TMO, and then also Real Talk Film Society, REEL Talk Film Society.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3, TikTok as well. And if you watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. And if you watching this on Spotify, make sure you give us a rating. You know what I mean? So follow us and give us a rating. Yeah. If you're listening on Apple, leave us that comment, like those comments can go a long way.
Drop a comment. Hey, we might have something for you. Drop a comment. Just do it. Trust me.
Right.
Also, you see the setting right here.
Right.
This is cool.
Yeah.
But we might be moving on up. That's all I'm saying. We might be moving on up. I'm just putting that out there. Putting it out to the universe. We might be moving on up.
This might be my last time to plug my timestamp posters up here. So if y'all want to watch timestamp on Amazon Prime, check it out. And in the Static and Comic Shop, we'll figure those out later. But timestamp on Amazon Prime for shizzle.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I gotta say one more quick thing. I know it's a long episode, but I saw my man Reggie Rock Bythewood, who wrote Swagger and also Get on the Bus. I saw him twice at Essence Festival and at the Real Black Men's Short Film Showcase.
Okay.
He was the open night presenter for that. Super great creative dude who's open to talking to a lot of people. So I'm just giving him a shout out. He's on Instagram, Rock the Film. That's his Instagram, really cool Instagram handle. And I asked him a couple questions and he gave me some real answers. So dope. I really appreciate him. So shout out to Reggie Rock Bythewood, along with Spike Lee, of course.
Of course. Yeah. That's another brother that if you in the New York area and you want to volunteer to do one of the 40-acre events and stuff like that, that's your access to getting. This is the pro tip. That's your access to getting close to Spike. So you might want to talk to the right people, and if you're serious, he'll look you out. Trust me. If you're serious, he'll look you out. I told you my film career and production career started with him. And I've seen him bring a lot of people in, and he look out for brothers and sisters. He's one of the realest to ever do it. You know, he hires black and brown and whatever behind the cameras, in front of the cameras. Come on, man. Put some respect on his name. He's real. He's really out here in the field. So
Spike Lee, a real one.
A real one. A real one. Let's get some claps going.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Let's get some clap going, man. This is our love letter to you, Spike. Again, episode 14. Mr. Marin, RB3. We are out. We will be back episode 15 soon to discuss black horror. Signing out. Peace.
Coming soon to a theater near you.